Good evening, Cerrito residents and the member of our community. I'd like to call to order the Thursday, February 27, 2025, 7 p.m. City Council and Success Agency regular meeting. The invocation will be led by Pastor Leonard Tan of the First Evangelical Community Church, and the pledge will be led by Troop 394 and 693. Pastor Tan, may you all rise.
Well, join with me in prayer this evening. Gracious and loving God, we begin our meeting this evening to ask for your blessing and your guidance as we discuss the business of the city of Cerritos. You have bestowed many riches upon us, and we want to do what is in the best interest of the community. Help us to look not only to our own personal interests, but also to the interests of all people who call Cerritos their home. Please bless our conversations, discussions, and interactions this evening, and allow all that is said to contribute to the greater good of this city. Guide us with wisdom and clarity, and allow us to truly hear the other person. Would you bless the council members this evening as they listen and make important decisions? Help them as they weigh the vast needs and fulfill the responsibilities given to them. God, we thank you for your peace that sits in this place. Thank you for giving us life that we can be here and serve. Thank you for our friends, family, and neighbors that care for us. Allow us to work in unity here this evening, reflecting the beautiful design you intended for us. We pray all of these things in your powerful name. Amen.
Troop 394 and 693, please.
Audience, attention. Color guard, attention. Color guard, advance. Color guard, prepare to post the colors. Post the colors. All those in uniform, right hand salute. All those not in uniform, please place your right hand over your heart. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Ready, begin. I pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. 2. Color guard dismissed. Audience, you may be seated. Thank you.
Thank you. If you don't mind, can I have all the, troops can give the names, please?
Or color guard, would you guys like to join me at the podium?
Your name and the school that you go to.
So I'm Kenrad from Troop 693, and I go to Whitney High School.
I'm Aditya from Troop 693, and I also go to Whitney High School.
I'm Matthew from Troop 693, and I go to OSHA.
I'm Nathan from 693, and I go to Gonzalez Elementary School.
I'm Aryan from Troop 693, and I go to Whitney.
I'm Kaylee from Troop 693, and I go to Oak Middle School. I'm Cerise from Troop 693, and I go to Cerritos High School.
I'm Shraddha from Troop 394, and I go to Whitney High School.
I'm Sohava from Troop 394, and I go to Whitney High School.
I'm Jason, and I'm from Troop 394, I go to Nixon.
I'm Ayush. I'm from Troop 394, and I go to Gonzalez.
Thank you all for coming. Thank you. Madam City Clerk, will you please conduct the roll call?
Council and Agency Member Barrows.
Present.
Council and Agency Member Johnson.
Present.
Council and Agency Member Yokoyama.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem and Vice Chair Vo.
Present.
Mayor and Chair Solanki.
Present. Okay, next item is a 5A presentation. Wow, we have a 70th wedding anniversary. This evening, we are pleased to recognize the 70th wedding anniversary of Rao and Krishnavani Kasabra, married on February 3rd, 1955. Mr. and Mrs. Kalabra Kasabra's 70th marriage anniversary is testimony of their enduring love and unwavering commitment to each other, and it is inspiration to those fortunate to know them. My colleague and I would like to congratulate to you both on such an incredible milestone. And I know Lata Vasan is not here. She's the one told me that I do need to honor this uncle and auntie who's been here and doing a lot of work. Thank you. So if you can join me here on the podium, please. Wow, congratulations. Thank you so much. It's an honor to honor you both for your 70th anniversary. It's incredible that I was asking you how you made it to 70th anniversary, and you said, we'll always say yes. So would you like to say a few words?
No, actually, at the outset, I'm very overwhelmed by this honor, and so I do not know really what to speak. But I really thank you, Mayor Sir, for doing this honor, and the council members, Bruce Barrows, Linda Johnson, and Oklahoma, and Chanbo. Thank you. So I'm like this here because I'm with my own son and daughter-in-law, and then I'm treated well in my house, and then I'm living a very respectable life in my house. And then I live in the midst of a large community who treats me with immense respect and esteem. Whenever I go there, at least 10 people will ask me, how can I help you? How can I help you? What can I get you? Like that. So all these things just prolonged my life. Otherwise, I would have gone up long back. Because of the treatment and the atmosphere in which I am living here, that made my life past 91. So I thank you, sir, for this. And I can never forget this day because I never got such a great honor. I got so many honors in my professional life, but nothing like this. Cerritos is a unique city, and then it has got very great facilities. I used to go by Dial-A-Ride paying a quarter, and then I used to go by cow bus paying a quarter. It was a very joy for me to go around the bus, and anyone coming to my home, I will take them as if like a hero. I will take them in the cow bus. So that is the facility you have created. And then like that Dial-A-Ride, that facility I am using, I have been using. So like that, my son stopped my going by Dial-A-Ride, and then he escorts me for all my medical visits. So now my daughter is also here. She also takes me. And then like that. So I greatly, I do not know really what more to say. I thank you for giving me this much time for speaking. Thank you.
You can have all the time in the world you need.
Thank you. Thank you very much. All people came very, very happy. I am very happy.
I know there are family members are here. If you guys can join for a photo with them too, I would appreciate that.
This was a surprise for me. Otherwise, I would have come in a full suit.
You look great. You look great.
All right, everybody, right over here on three. I'm gonna take 3 photos. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, and one more. 1, 2, and 3. Thank you.
All right. If I can have my council colleague join for the photo. Thank you. We can take one more picture with the council. Yeah, give me a minute. Let me have a council first. Then sure.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. You're fine.
Yeah.
Can we? Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Very, very helpful.
All right, everybody, right over here. We're gonna take 3. On 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, and one more. 1, 2, and 3.
Thank you.
Just stay here. Just stay here.
Thank you. Thank you.
I know some of the Boy Scouts would like to take a pictures here. Come on. Who wants to take a pictures? You.
Congratulations. Thank you.
Congratulations.
And any family members or friends would like to take a picture, they can more than welcome. Come on. It's okay. Let me have them first.
All right, that's perfect. All right, everybody. Excellent, thank you. All right, everybody, right over here on 3. 1, 2, 3. Another 1, 2, 3. One more. 1, 2, and 3. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, now the friends. Okay, you guys can go together.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, my friend.
Yeah. No, these people. Okay, yeah. You guys done it. Thank you very much. You can go down. Do you want to come? Can you come one step down? Okay. I just want to make sure. I think that's good.
That clears out the audience.
Yes. Many as you can. Yes. You can go further, no problem. No, keep going first. No issue. Come on in the front. Everybody can go in the front. Go move forward. You can sit down, some of them, whatever, however you feel. However you feel comfortable. Come on in, everybody. Yes. Yeah. Thank you, yes. Come forward. You can stay here. Yeah, that's good. You can stay here, no problem. Move forward, in the front.
Just keep going down.
Yeah, keep going down. Keep going down. We get everybody here. Yeah.
You're good, yeah, right.
Keep going down, guys.
Keep going down, you
forward.
guys.
It's okay.
Come on, come this way.
Don't be shy. Yes. They do.
Aunties go in the front.
Then they won't see it. Then they won't be able to see it. Yeah, then they can't see you. You want to sit down? Okay. All right. Let them. Okay. Let them. They are not even able to check for you. They have never done it before. Come. If you want to sit down, you can sit down. Anybody want to come more?
All right. You can't see my lens. I can't see you. All right, everybody. We're going to take 3 photos on 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And one more. 1, 2, and 3.
Thank you very much. I know. I can put the ice back. We will take one more picture with anybody? Guys, council, one more? Good? Everybody? Okay. Everybody's good? Nobody want to take a picture? You don't take it? Robert? Come on, that's okay. Kathy? Come on, Nicholas. 91 and 70 years ready. Hold on, I thought it was just jumping. Ruth, jumping. Might as well, come on.
Unless you want to jump in.
Well, this is the first time the staff member has given up chairs.
All right. Everyone right over here. We're going to take 3 on 3. 1, 2, 3. Let's take another 1, 2, 3. And one more. 1, 2, and 3.
I really miss last night. She was here with her. I'm taking care of her mom.
Congratulations again.
You continue to be blessed.
Congratulations.
Thank you. So this is our city attorney, city manager, and our city clerk, and assistant city manager. City manager, right? Yeah, that's Robert, city manager. Thank you. Thank you all. Yeah.
I got that. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.
God bless you.
Okay.
Thank you again.
All right. Thank you very much. Thank you. Bye-bye. Okay, next we have is the National Kidney Month. The City of Cerritos is proud to recognize and celebrate the month of March as a National Kidney Month. National Kidney Month helps to provide information that encourages health, kidney habit, raises awareness, and supports the millions of people affected by kidney disease. As a part of National Kidney Month, the City of Cerritos pleased to announce an art exhibition that is displayed in Cerritos Library created by UCLA student Soham Bhargava using the art of origami to create a spread awareness about the kidney health. So I'd like to give a proclamation to Sonu and Soham Bhargava. Thank you. On behalf of City of Cerritos, we'd like to present you with a proclamation in honor of your achievement. Would you like to say something?
Yes. Thank you, Mayor Solanki, council members, and the City of Cerritos for inviting us today. I am a kidney transplant recipient and a cancer survivor. This year, I had the honor of riding on the Core Kidney Float at the Rose Parade alongside kidney donors, other recipients, and Dr. Anjay Rastogi, who is a clinical chief of nephrology and director of Core Kidney Program at David Griffin School of Medicine at UCLA. The float was aimed to highlight the importance of kidney health and recognize the selfless individuals who have donated their kidneys, giving them the ultimate gift, the gift of life. As a kidney health ambassador at the Core Kidney, and my personal journey with kidney disease has fueled my passion for raising awareness about this increasingly prevalent disease. Kidney health awareness empowers communities to make change for their well-being through regular screenings, healthy life choices. Just 2 simple tests, one blood test and a urine test, can detect early signs of kidney damage, especially in individuals who have uncontrolled diabetes, high blood pressure, which are the leading causes of kidney disease. Other risk factors include prolonged and excessive use of pain medication like ibuprofen, family history, and aging. Early detection saves lives, prevents complications, and protects families from their financial future. I firmly believe healthy kidneys create healthy, wealthy, and wise communities. Beyond awareness, collaboration is key. Community leaders like Mayor Solanki play a crucial role in bridging the knowledge gap and fighting kidney disease. My son, Soham, a member of Bruin Beans Health Club, has curated Art for Awareness, an origami and kidney health exhibition at the Cerritos Library for last 4 years. This exhibit will be on display throughout the month of March. And my son would like to say something.
Mayor Solanki, council members, and esteemed guests, I warmly invite you to visit the exhibition with your family and friends. Your presence will help spark meaningful conversations about this critical issue. There is much we can do today to protect our tomorrow. Let us come together to make a difference, one small step at a time. Mayor Solanki, thank you for your leadership and support of our initiative. To learn more, please visit the Core Kidney website, and please consider donating to the Green Ribbon Campaign to support the Bruin Beans' continued effort in raising awareness and advancing kidney health initiatives. Thank you for having us.
Thank you. Congratulations. If I can have my council colleague for follow-up.
Yes.
Oh, thank you so much. Okay. You take this picture first. Okay.
I would like to invite my husband too.
Sure. Yes. Yes. Absolutely.
Everybody, right over here. On 3, or take 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and one more 1, 2, 3, and then we're gonna take one with the proclamation. All right, same deal on 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and one last 1, 1, 2, and 3.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
You okay?
I have some friends with me. I would like them also to, because they have helped me.
Sure.
So I would like to invite them also for a picture.
Okay. Our friends and family would like to come and take a pictures, please.
So you can hold this.
Maybe come down. Come down. Let's do that.
Everyone right over here, we're gonna take 3, and when I say 3, I'm gonna take the photo. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and one more 1, 2, and 3.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next we have is the 90th birthday, Juliet Williams. Tonight we are excited to celebrate the 90th birthday of Mrs. Juliet Williams. It is a pleasure to share this special day with Juliet, and we extend our congratulations and heartfelt wishes to her for her birthday. Juliet has been a resident of Cerritos for 53 years with her loving husband, Amos, who passed away in 2018. Born on February 2nd, 1935, Juliet Williams is testament and example of the life well lived and filled with unforgettable experience and multitude of contribution to her community that includes a 25 years career as an educator at a Leal Elementary and an honor of being featured in Who's and Who of America's Teacher publication, and serving the city as a fine arts commissioner. Again, the Cerritos City Council is pleased to wish Mrs. Juliet Williams continue health, happiness, and many more years to joy. Could you please come for a proclamation? Thank you. Wow.
Why, good grief, these folks can keep a secret over here. I'm fine, thanks for asking.
Come on this side.
Okay.
Yes. So I said a few things. Would you like to say so?
I would like to thank the City of Cerritos for all that you have done for me and my family. We moved here, they're going to say, Mom, stop. We moved here in 1971. Oh, okay, 1971. And it was a new community, and I started teaching here at Little Elementary, and my kids went to school, and they did exceedingly well, and they went off to college, and I thought I was going to Kobe Steakhouse. My daughter turned in here, and I said, this is not Kobe Steakhouse. And she says, no, I know, Mom, just follow me. And I want to say a special thanks to Councilman Bruce, and Kathy Matsumoto, and all of you who have really had a lot to do with my life and my children's life and my grandkids' life. So I said, thank you, thank you, thank you. No, I'm not 90. Yes, I am. Yes. Excel, you're taking all the pictures, right? And they were here when I became Fine Arts and Historical Commissioner. Mr. Bruce Barrows. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Anyway.
Okay, you want to take this picture with family first, and then we can invite council? Where did you come down here? Okay, just a little bit.
I see.
That's good. All right, everybody.
And I held this first. I didn't need any help. Let me take my glasses off.
Hold up. Okay, let's do our Entertainment Tonight pose.
All right, everybody, right over here. I'm gonna take 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, and one more. 1, 2, and 3. Thank you.
All right. You stay here. I'll invite all my council colleagues for a photo op. Thank you all. Thank you very much. Thank you.
A proclamation.
After this, you can go to Kobe.
Hello, hello, hello.
All right, everybody, right over here on 3. 1, 2, 3. Another 1, 2, 3, and one more. 1, 2, and 3. Thank you.
All right.
Okay.
Congratulations. Look at you.
Congratulations. Make sure they take you to Kobe Steakhouse. Make sure they take you to the steakhouse.
Yeah, well, my daughter's made reservations.
Oh, good, good.
Oh, my kids know what to do.
Oh, good.
Happy birthday. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes.
Look who's behind you. Bruce, can I get this hug?
No, absolutely. You were
Thank
special.
Thank you. Thank you.
Special in a good way.
Well, one thing about it is that Greg is an architect, and he knew. He came to a lot of the meetings and everything, and told us what to do.
He came to Denver with us that time, too.
I didn't go today to the event.
Yesterday.
No, I did not.
Okay. All right, my dear. Congratulations again, and thank you.
Well, thank you.
for doing all
Thank
that.
you. Thank you. Thank you. I'm gonna get your
Enjoy your steak.
Don't forget your glasses.
Okay, Mayor?
Yes.
Yeah, before you start. Oh, well. I just wanted to point out, Julietta was one of our appointees that filled out an application, didn't know anyone on council at the time, and turned out to be an excellent, member.
Your mic is on. Is it on?
Yeah.
Okay, you're good.
Okay, it's on. But anyway, Julietta, filled out an application, and I did a bunch of interviews, and it was one that I selected, and she served us very, very well. And I just wanted, the audience and those at home to know that, people do get appointed from applications, and Chung is another one that came in the same way and worked his way up, and here he is on council. But anyway, I just wanted just to confirm, she did an excellent job, representing our city and on that commission.
Thank you, Bruce. All right. Next item is 5B, election update. I guess the city manager has a report.
Thank you. Actually, this item, sir, will be presented by City Clerk Cindy Nava.
Thank you, Mr. Lopez. Good evening, Honorable Mayor and members of the City Council. This evening, I'm pleased to present a brief update and recap of contest on the Tuesday, March 4, 2025 Cerritos General Municipal Election ballot. Election Day is now only 5 days away. At the end of the update, we will show a public service announcement video, which will detail options for voting in this election. Prior to the city election update, I will note the voting period for the county-run State Senate District 36 special primary election concluded this past Tuesday, February 25th, 2025. Unofficial results have been posted on the Secretary of State's website. The graphic on the screen displays the district-wide results as of this morning. The state is scheduled to certify official results by Thursday, March 6th. If any candidate receives a majority, over 50% of the votes in this special primary election, they will be declared elected and no special general election will be held in April, which is scheduled for Tuesday, April 29, 2025. At this time, we'll return to the update on the city's election. While the deadline to register to vote to receive a mailed ballot for the Cerritos General Municipal Election has passed, unregistered eligible residents of Cerritos still have the opportunity to vote. To do so, one should complete a voter registration form online or complete a hard copy application and deliver it directly to the county registrar of voters. A provisional ballot will be offered to any voter who is not located in the city's voter database, which was recently updated as of the voter registration deadline. Provisional votes will be counted at the appropriate time, subject to proper verification. The final supplemental ballot mailing was sent Monday, February 24th to 176 residents who either moved from one Cerritos address to another, have just moved into the city and registered to vote after we received the 29-day voter file from the county and conducted the first supplemental ballot mailing may have been impacted by a recent county voter database correction. This election season, there are 3 contests on the ballot. Cerritos voters not only have the opportunity to vote for 3 members of the City Council, but also on 2 proposed charter amendment ballot measures. The city charter may only be amended by a vote of the people. Both the City Council and Cerritos voters have the power to place measures on the ballot. The California Elections Code defines the process by which residents may place a measure on the ballot by voter initiative, also by which the legislative body, the City Council, may by a majority vote at a public meeting place a measure on the ballot. Measure J relates to the setting of the city's general municipal election date in the city charter. Currently, the city charter sets the city's election date by city ordinance adopted by the City Council. If Cerritos voters approve Measure J, the election date would be set to remain as the first Tuesday after the first Monday in March of each odd-numbered year. Along with this amendment are other conforming amendments set by this measure, including the setting of the commencement date of City Council terms as the second Tuesday of April, beginning with the 2027 election, and the setting of the date of the annual mayoral transition in the city charter beginning in 2026 as the second Tuesday of April. Measure K relates to a general cleanup charter amendment. Spelling and grammatical errors would be corrected, and the charter document would be updated to reflect modern business practices, such as authorizing the city manager to appoint the city treasurer and separating that role from that of the city clerk. The full text of both proposed charter amendment ballot measures can be found on the city's website at cerritos.gov/election 2025 or in the Office of the City Clerk Elections Official. It is important to note there are no qualified write-in candidates to be voted upon in this election. The write-in candidate filing period closed on February 18, 2025, without the issuance or filing of nomination papers. We have made note of this recently on the city's website. One of the latest additions to the city's election 2025 webpage is an interactive precinct map. Precinct lookup by address is currently available, as well as totals of ballot returns by precinct. What this displays is a snapshot of total number of ballots returned to our office. Returned, however, does not mean verified, though we do verify signatures daily and only have a small number of unverified total ballots. Currently, a total of 5,021 ballots have been returned, with a total of 5,007 verified. The public canvass of ballots is scheduled to begin tomorrow in the City Council chamber at 9 a.m., with subsequent canvass days scheduled as needed. Potential spectators are encouraged to contact the city clerk elections official for specific canvass schedule information. On election night, the unofficial results will be announced by 8:30 p.m. and broadcast live on Cerritos TV3 and the city's YouTube channel. Subsequent tallies will be conducted as needed, with a broadcast of the final count tentatively scheduled for Friday, March 14. As the ballots are publicly tallied on these pending dates, the interactive precinct map will display not only total ballots returned by precinct, but total votes for each candidate and measure per precinct. The last exciting update we have, and this feature is not yet live, but we hope to work out the final bugs and make this live tomorrow, is a vote-by-mail status lookup tool. The city's election website will soon provide a link to a form page where Cerritos voters may input their information to see the status of their ballot. The graphic on the screen displays an example of the output that would be displayed after entering your information and hitting submit on the form. Until this is made live on the site, however, voters should feel free to contact our office to inquire of the status of their ballot. Finally, we have worked with the city's communications division to produce a public service announcement video we will play in just a moment to inform voters of their options for voting this election season.
The City of Cerritos encourages you to vote in the upcoming Cerritos General Municipal Election. Every Cerritos voter has been mailed a vote-by-mail ballot, and voting is taking place now. Contests on the ballot include 3 seats on the Cerritos City Council and 2 charter amendment measures. After marking your votes, sign and date the vote-by-mail ballot return envelope to ensure your vote is counted. You have the option of returning your completed ballot in one of 3 ways. One option is to place your completed ballot in a vote-by-mail drop box. Drop boxes are open now through 8 p.m. on Tuesday, March 4th. One vote-by-mail drop box is located in the Cerritos Civic Center Plaza. Another vote-by-mail drop box is located in Cerritos Park East. You can also return your vote-by-mail ballot through the United States Postal Mail as soon as it is completed. No postage is required. Your ballot must be postmarked by Tuesday, March 4th and be received by the city clerk or elections official by mail no later than 7 days after Election Day. Completed ballots can also be dropped off at the office of the city clerk located on the first floor of Cerritos City Hall. Ballots can be dropped off until 8 p.m. on Tuesday, March 4th. You can also complete your vote-by-mail ballot in person at the office of the city clerk. In-person voting is offered at City Hall during the following days and times: Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., now through March 4th, Saturday, March 1st, from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., Sunday, March 2nd, from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., and on Election Day, Tuesday, March 4th, from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. Information about the Cerritos General Municipal Election is available on the city's website at cerritos.gov/election2025 or by contacting the office of the city clerk.
This video previously also included information on the State Senate District 36 special primary election. The video can be viewed on the city's social media channels, Cerritos TV3, and the city's website. The Office of the City Clerk is available for assistance by email, in person, or by phone Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., holidays accepted. We thank the City Council and Advisory Board members for serving as our ambassadors, assisting us with spreading the word and educating voters. We also extend our gratitude to the entire city team and our wonderful election consultants, Consultant City of Whittier, City Clerk Rigo Garcia, and Consultant Poonam Davis for supporting the city's election this season. And last but not least, thank you to the Cerritos community for getting involved and getting out to vote. We look forward to seeing all of our in-person voters over the next several days. Please note in-person voting beginning Saturday will be conducted in the main lobby at City Hall. This concludes tonight's informational update, and I'm available to answer any questions the City Council may have.
Thank you, Robert and Cindy, for the report. Does council any questions?
Yes, please. Cindy, thank you for that detailed update. And thank you for including in your report the very important information that unregistered eligible residents can register to vote up through election day and then go to the city clerk's office and get a provisional ballot. Thank you. Just wanted to get an updated number from you because we've talked about this before. How many ballots have been issued in this Cerritos general municipal election?
Honorable Mayor and members of the City Council, thank you for your question. Councilmember Yokoyama, if you give me just one moment, I will give you that figure. And I will note that ballots issued, the number of ballots issued does not include reissuances of ballots, but just total people who have been issued ballots, which the number is 36,326.
36,326. Thank you. Thank you for also confirming that there are no qualified write-in candidates. So I wanted to ask about that. If a voter writes in a name, is the entire ballot void? If they also checked off some boxes, is the entire ballot void?
Thank you for your question, Councilmember Yokoyama. No, absolutely not. The entire ballot would not be void. That simply the vote for the write-in candidate that's not eligible to be voted upon would not count. There is a process by which our team reviews the ballots, and as needed, we will make corrections. There is a legal process for that, but it would not invalidate the whole ballot.
You will count the checked off boxes regardless of a write-in candidate's name being improperly written, up to three boxes checked off.
Yes, that is correct.
Okay, thank you for that information. That's all I have, please.
Thank you. Anyone else? All right, thank you very much for the report. Next item is the public comments, item 6. Thank you for your attendance in tonight's meeting. State law and our local rules do not support the use of profanity, hateful speech, or conduct that disrupt the conduct of this city business meeting. If necessary, I will issue an initial warning and call for a recess to restore order. After that, chambers may be cleared if disturbance continue. Before we open public comments, item 6, I will call upon the city clerk to provide additional information concerning public comments.
Thank you, Mayor. The following comments pertain to all public comment periods on tonight's agenda. The mayor will open public comments at the appropriate times on the agenda. Please be prepared to approach the podium and begin your comments at the time you are called. Public comments should be directed to the City Council and made only from the podium during your turn. Please respect each speaker and refrain from any disruptive behavior or speech during their comment time. Public comments, item 6 public comments should be limited to items on the consent calendar, closed session, and items not listed on the agenda but that are within the subject matter jurisdiction of the legislative body. The Office of the City Clerk did not receive any written public comments for item 6 by the submission deadline listed on the agenda. This concludes the public comment information, and the meeting is now returned to the mayor to open public comments under item 6.
Thank you. I will now open the public comments on this item. This thing is not okay. Anyway, who do we have? Mel Cortez.
And the first speaker tonight is Mel Cortez.
Okay, next, Sam Desai.
Thank you, Mayor. Will there be a clock today for 3 minutes?
It is 3 minutes.
All right. Is there a clock available today?
Well, I'll count then.
Please, let me know when to start, please.
Sure.
Thank you. My name is Sam Desai, Mayor Solanki, council members, my friend at City Hall. My name is Sam Desai. I'm a registered voter for Cerritos. And today I want to thank Frank for clarifying with the clerk if a voter is going to choose other candidates, and you just shared these are qualified candidates, and I'm here, I only have like few minutes to share that we don't have qualified candidates, and every resident in Cerritos should be voting for 3 candidates and write in other names, Mal Cortez, he's for safety, Jay Gray, transparency, and most importantly, Murali Vasudevan, data. You guys know that these people, if you're on social media, these people bring people. Everyone else, 8 qualified candidates. 1 qualified candidate cannot even be our council member unless they resign their position as a school board member. That's not fair. I have 1 candidate, we don't even know whether that person is running or not. I have 1 candidate that this city, he used to be a mayor of this city, and this city said 2 terms limit. So any one of you who voted for 2 terms limit and wants to vote for that candidate, hypocrites. Doesn't work. Who else do we have? Someone invisible and has $1 million to spend so that he can sit with you, Richard, and with you, our city lawyers? When you don't even allow bids to go, do you know, Mr. Barrows, I understand you've been around for 20 years now. Do you remember that there is any one service that this citizens, these residents have been getting for 35 years? No bids? No bids for public services. These residents
Sam,
be getting.
if his item in the agenda, you need
I
to
don't
wait
know,
for
sir.
that.
I didn't bring my glasses. It's like,
Okay, well then put your glasses. If his item in the agenda, you got to wait for that.
which item is it, sir?
So which item you talking about? No bid.
Any item, sir. Common sense. Would you agree?
You talking about general?
Yes, general talk.
Okay.
Can I get my 15 seconds back, please?
No, you won't get 15 seconds back.
That's the reason, Mayor. You took residents 5 minutes back. You made it 3 minutes. You expect us to talk and wait over here for you to do and just keep on, not giving us any solutions. What I want you to do is tell everyone you know to vote for these 3 people. Mal Cortez, Jay Gray, Murali Vasudevan, on other. Mark other, put their name, because they are the only qualified residents who can make any sense, and they can talk to the city staff, and they can definitely talk to city manager.
Thank
and
you.
They can talk to all of you. So thank you.
Next speaker we have is Celia Spitzer.
Good evening. I request that item 7D on the consent calendar be removed to be considered separately from the rest of the consent calendar. If it is, I will speak to it then. If not, I will do so now. What is the council's pleasure? Because I know you moved something at the last meeting. When do you want me to speak about
You can
this?
speak now and we'll pull it out.
Okay. I opposed item 7H at your February 13th meeting, which was very similar to tonight's 7D. I am pleased to see that there is no specific date mentioned regarding the end of the term for city commissioners, committee members who are part of the original 2022-24 cycle, which was extended to 2025. However, I still oppose this item because it refers to odd numbered years in Part A. I propose that the words, quote, conducted in odd-numbered years, unquote, be completely deleted, as hopefully in the future city elections will be consolidated with statewide elections in the fall of even-numbered years. By making this deletion, this section would cover whenever an election is held. And then in Part D, the his or her part there, to be consistent with many other things, even within that document, needs to be changed to there. So.
Thank you. Next speaker is Udit Dave.
Thank you for giving me an opportunity to speak here. Couple of weeks back, I came here, spoke on this podium, and I want to continue talking about the burning issue we believe that we have in my community. I live in a community in front of Liberty Park. We talked about...
Can you raise that? Thank you.
Okay. Is it audible? Okay. My name is Udit Dave. I live in a community in front of Liberty Park. A couple of weeks back, we came here, a bunch of my fellow residents. We talked about the issues that is quite troubling to us, mainly the burglary and break-ins in our house. I would like to understand, there were some follow-up items that were discussed back then. One of the things that I want to call out is that we wanted to thank you. The next day, somebody did show up to our community and did talk to some of our residents. It was a short notice, and some of the members could not join at that time. But just wanted to acknowledge the fact that somebody did follow up. Now, would be great to just hear what is the follow-up. We talked about one of the requests was that to close one side of the entry.
That item is in the agenda. You got to wait until that item is.
That sounds great. And overall, yesterday evening also there was another break-in attempt in our community. Just want to acknowledge that cops did reach on time from what I understand. So just want to continue to thank you for the entire council member to help us in this matter. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, those are the only speaker I have. Is there any? Oh, sorry, Susie Vigil, my neighbor. How can I forget her? Oh, you're waiting for the agenda items? Okay, all right, Susie, we'll wait for that. All right, City Clerk, do we have any other correspondence? Anyone else send any cards in?
There is no written correspondence on this item, and I believe we have no further speakers registered to speak.
Okay, thank you. The next item is the consent calendar. Do we have a motion to approve? I guess we're going to pull the 7D and talk about separate. Okay.
Second.
All right. We have motion and second.
A motion was made by Councilmember Barrows and seconded by Councilmember Yokoyama to approve the consent calendar items with the exception of item 7D, which was pulled for separate consideration.
Okay, we'll bring it back. Okay, this passed 5-0. We'll bring back the 7D. Bruce, you're the one who was aware of this. Has anything need to be changed on 7D? Robert?
Well, the reference is made to correct two things with the odd number year to match up with the action we took at the last meeting, and to change the he and she to a they or whatever it is appropriate. To me, that's a reasonable thing to do, but we have to open for public, comments.
Yeah. Anybody else would like to speak on item consent calendar 7D? Seeing none, we'll close the public comments, bring it back for the council
I'll
action.
make a motion to, with the, for, the items that were mentioned be corrected earlier.
Okay, I have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second.
And the motion passes on a vote of 3-2.
Okay. There is no public hearing tonight, so we'll go to item, next item is 9A. City Manager, do you have reports on this?
Yes, thank you. Good evening, Mayor, members of the City Council. Item 9A is a report that follows up on discussion that occurred at the last City Council meeting. This is being provided as follow-up pursuant to City Council direction. This item will be presented by Mr. Evans, and following his presentation, he and I would be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Lopez. Good evening, Mayor Solanke and council members. Before you is agenda item report 9A, which involves the potential closure of one street entrance into two separate unrelated residential tracts. The express goal of the residents is to limit access points into their neighborhood in an effort to abate residential burglaries. As everyone knows, the first step to solving any problem is to understand the problem and define the problem. So I'd just like to direct your attention to the slide that is on the screen right now. This is a slide, by the way, this information is available through the LA County Sheriff's webpage. It's available to the public. This slide here shows you all residential burglaries that occurred in 2004 within the jurisdiction of the LA County Sheriff's Department. And the main point of putting it here is to show that up there on the right-hand side, you can see a 10-year graph where you see the residential burglary rate increasing as a trend. This is the same data sets that from the sheriffs that relate to Cerritos Sheriff Station. Again, you're taking a look at the 10-year trend line here. You can see a pretty significant drop here in 2020. That it was the beginning of COVID. If everyone recalls, March 2020 was the start of the COVID-19 pandemic. A lot of people at home, and that's one of the main things. When people are home, there's very few residential burglaries occur. So you can see that pattern, and then of course, you know, things start to return back to normal. But it's clearly was down historically low, and that it is definitely trending back up. You can also see the chart below that shows over a year period of when residential burglaries occur, and there is no month that the criminals take off. It happens all year long, and so that's shows you what the crime trend here is for residential burglaries. The map that's on the screen before you right now represents all residential burglaries within the city of Cerritos for the past 14 months, so from January 24 right up until today. The red dots represent the evening or nighttime burglaries. The blue dots are daytime. And as you can see, there has been 218 residential burglaries over a 14-month period. 63 of them were the daytime, 155 during the evening hours, which is pretty concerning because a lot of people think that people don't break into the homes at night. But that's why we talk a lot about Operation Nightlight, making your house look occupied. An interesting statistic also is about 18% of the homes that were broken into had someone home. And it's very rare. We've never had an instance where somebody broke into a home knowing that someone was there. That'd be a home invasion. We've not had that. Anytime somebody's breaking into the home, they think the house is empty. But last year we had 31 homes broken into that were occupied, and that's because the suspects didn't know someone was home. Either lights weren't on, they didn't respond to the door knock. So that's one of the things that we really want to educate people to make sure that your home looks like it's occupied. But this map also shows that there's no portion of the city that's immune. You can see the residential burglaries happen all over. There's none in the center because we did not track anything that happens in Artesia. But you know, the whole city is visited by burglars, and so that's it's important to note that. This evening we'll be talking about two specific residential tracts. This is a street map to the first one. I'll come back and refer to this a little bit later, but the primary tract we'll be talking about here this evening is south of South Street, east of Studebaker. This housing tract is comprised of 205 single-family residential homes. Another tract that we'll be speaking about this evening is referred to as the Morning Sun residential tract. This is south of 166 and east of Studebaker. This tract comprises about 230 residential homes. This refers to the first tract we were talking about earlier on. I know this is going to be a topic of discussion where folks would like to have one of those two streets blocked off. This is an overlay from crimemapping.com of the crime that's occurred there, reported there within the last 6 months. Crimemapping.com takes all the data from the Sheriff's Department and reports the crime. Of course, you've got to report it to show up in the data set, but this is the reported crimes here in that area within the last 6 months. The city has also parked one of our newly acquired ALPR trailers with live view cameras there, one of the two entrances. So that's a picture of that device that's actually there today. This is the other track that we were talking about, the Morning Sun track. This is a crime overlay for the last 6 months of what has occurred in that track. This track is accessed by 3 streets into that area. The map that's before you is a residential tract that was discussed during a meeting with the residents. They talked about a tract that had just a single point of entry, and that is the tract that's directly south of the primary one we're talking about, right next to Liberty Park. This track has a single point of entry off of Jerry Place, and this track is comprised of 178 single-family homes. At council's direction, staff met with members of the community the day after the city council meeting on February 14th. And attending that meeting, along with staff members, was LA County Fire Department Battalion Chief Alex Litton. And he had some interesting comments and informed the residents that the fire department does not have a particular say of whether they're going to close these streets or not. They don't have a position. Their position is that it's up to the city to close it. However, he did express concern, and let me bring this map back up here that we were talking about earlier. He did express concern that if one of the two streets were blocked, that would add to perhaps additional response time. And they were concerned also of a single point of entry. Anytime there's a residential fire, Chief Litton had spoke about that they minimally will respond to 3 fire trucks to the fire. And so they just have to make sure that those streets are open. Sometimes if you have just one street and people are trying to exit that street because of a large fire, that could create a traffic issue at that choke point. So they wanted to be alert to that, but ultimately commented that it's up to the city to decide whether they want to move forward with that. Also at the meeting was Public Works Director Alvin Papa, who's here with us this evening, and he expressed that closing one of the 2 streets from an engineering point of view is doable. It is possible. He also expressed a concern about having a single point of failure, just one point of entry and exit. So that's something that should be closely looked at and considered. Director Papa also advised that it would be prudent for the city to first obtain a traffic study from a licensed traffic engineer before recommending a decision on whether or not to permanently close an access street leading into the referenced neighborhood there. Also at the meeting was Captain Drew Strong. He's here with us this evening, and he also expressed concern about potential for extended response times during emergencies. The city has also taken some steps into combating residential burglaries as a result of additional meetings that we've had here. One of the things that we've talked about before is installing automatic license plate reader cameras. Before you is the map on the screen is a map of phase 1, 2, and 3 of what the city looks at doing for installing ALPR cameras. Right now, phase 1 is completed. Those are the cameras in the red dots on the map. That's all around the Auto Square and the Town Center. I'm sorry, the Los Cerritos Center. The reason why I put this map up here is during phase 3, because of input from the community, we have looked at phase 2 and phase 3 and put those cameras in residential areas and the choke points through some of the major streets that we'd look like where the suspects would be exiting after they commit a residential burglary. So a lot of times when they go into these neighborhoods to commit burglaries, they're looking for opportunities. They drive around very slowly. They pick their target, they engage in the burglary, and then they promptly leave. And then that's when they go to the major streets to leave the city as promptly as possible, or to the on-ramps or off-ramps to the freeways, either the 605 or the 91. And that was part of our strategy of putting the cameras in those major areas where you come in and out of the city. So we wanted to show you that we are putting those ALPR cameras in and around the city's residential areas first before we move to the commercial districts. One of the things that we do here, just to let you know, that we're very proud of, is a program called Operation Green Bar. And we're going to show you a horizontal bar here in a moment. But when deputies go out and contact people who've been victim of burglaries, they fill out this form here that's on the screen. It's an addendum to a residential burglary report. It asks about 10 key items as to interior lights, was there a vehicle in the parkway, all of these things that we've identified is going to make your home either attractive or unattractive to residential burglaries. So we gather all that information. We then put it into a form here that is on your screen here that's a analysis report on the information from those individual forms. And as you can see here, these forms, they have green squares and red squares. The red squares obviously conditions that we're seeking to avoid. The green ones are positive. And that information is converted into these graphs. And this is what we talked to folks about having Operation Green Bar. Even though we have a lot of residents here this evening, and I'm sure they are very active and they engage in all this stuff, but you can see by the data that we collect here, most of the residents who are victims of burglaries do not follow the advice of the neighborhood watch captains and or the deputies. So what you have here ultimately is what we want all these bars to be green, and wherever they're showing red, those are problematic areas. First one is, was there a light on during the hours of darkness? This is for the period of July, and you can see that the majority of the people don't. You can see that the majority of the people here don't have lights on the exterior. Majority of the people don't have a vehicle in the driveway. If people were to follow these things, you would then see a reduction in residential burglaries. This is same map here for December of 2024. So this is all of 2024. And you can see not much change, even though we, speak to people about this often. There's most of the residents who are being singled out for residential burglaries have these conditions that attract residential burglaries. The green are the people who are engaging in the recommended activity, which shows there is no absolutes. People in the green, they've done all these things, and yet they still were victimized. But the majority of the people, you can see, have room for improvement there. And if they follow these guidelines there, they're less likely to be a burglary victim, but it's not a guarantee. That's one of our strategies. We will watch a reduction in resburgs when people begin to follow, of the recommendations here a little closer. Because again, these are the conditions that attract burglars. We've taken that data and we put that in a handout here. We have some on the counter. We have some before you. And, we are hoping that residents will follow that to help us drive down the residential burglaries. So that's Operation Green Bar. That's one of our premier strategies here. That strategy has also been adopted by other sheriff stations. As it relates back to closing streets, just wanted to talk about that for a moment, the fiscal impact to that. The Public Works Department estimates that a traffic plan for a licensed engineer will cost approximately $3,500 to $4,500 for each neighborhood that you study. Additional costs will be incurred for actually blocking the street off, which may include blocking some turn lanes. If you have a left-hand turn lane, you may have to isolate that so that people don't turn into a street that is ultimately blocked off. So in conclusion, residential burglaries is an issue here within the community. And prior to moving forward, we would recommend that before closing any residential neighborhoods or blocking any streets, that a comprehensive study or survey is implemented with the residents that are involved in order to gauge the residents' interest. Should a survey yield anything less than unanimous resident consensus, it's recommended that no further action be taken on this matter. Permanent street closures are a significant decision that needs to be thoroughly and considered. And with that, staff recommends that council reviews the merits of the proposal for street closures and direct staff accordingly.
Thank you, Daryl, for that report. Do we have a question from the council? Okay, Bruce?
Daryl, I've had a few phone calls this week from residents. We've had a relatively small number of people come out of these tracks. Have we done a survey of all the homes to where we know what the majority of the residents wish to have?
In regards to the tracks that we're speaking about today?
Yes.
No, I have not conducted a survey.
Okay, so right now we have out of the one that had 205 homes, we don't know how many would like to have one of the streets closed off.
That is correct. When we met with the residents, we had a group of 13 to 15, but to be fair, that was an impromptu meeting the next day, so there wasn't much lead time, and it was Valentine's Day. But I've only spoken to personally about 15 folks who live there.
Okay, I haven't talked to that many, but I had a few calls. They were very concerned that, in their opinion, they did not want it. But the other part is we've had a conversation in the past. I know from the homes in my neighborhood that have been broke into, including mine, the vehicles that were described by the residents and the vehicles that were in my neighborhood you know, they were not dark tinted. They looked like anybody's car, you know, fit in the neighborhood. They usually had 3, maybe 4 people there, you know, 1 as a lookout, 2 to break in, and so forth. What is the sheriff's experience as to the type of cars that are being used?
They are, in fact, we just had a burglary today. The person was driving a BMW. They're just generic cars. They're not typical cars you would associate with criminal activity. They rent them, they borrow them, but it's referred to as urban camouflage. I've worked on surveillance teams before, and what you want to do is dress like, look like, act like, you know, the neighborhoods you're in. So the people that come here, we've seen Teslas, Land Rovers, BMWs, you know, Hondas, you know, the gamut. But they're not beater cars. You're not gonna see somebody come in here with a car that obviously doesn't belong, where maybe there's a lot of, you know, car damage or it's smoking or whatever. They very much look like it. Lexuses, all those types of vehicles.
Yeah, I mean, the cars that were described were those with dark tinted windows, and you know, they were insinuating a certain type of look, and just my experience has been totally different, you know, from those in my neighborhood, what they saw, what was recorded on the cameras, and so forth. But I just wanted to have, you know, that shared, because if you have a neighborhood watch, you want to look out for what's really happening. But Daryl, thank you very much for your comments.
If I could just comment additionally on the tinted windows, because I've heard that remark as well. And there's a lot of people in California that have tinted windows, a lot of law enforcement, a lot of vehicles out there with tinted windows, although the law prohibits a tinted window, anything in front of the driver's seat. So the driver, passenger window, and windshield cannot be tinted. Anything behind it can. But from a law enforcement point of view, we don't mind tinted windows because it gives you a reason to stop somebody. It's a lawful reason to pull them over and contact them. In fact, when I was working in the field, anytime there was an equipment violation, we would never write the citation because we didn't want them to fix it, so that somebody else could contact them later on if they were acting suspicious. So the tinted window is not conclusive one way or the other. There's so many of them that it's not indicative of criminal activity, but it does give you a lawful reason to stop them.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, so then I will now open up for public comments on this item, and I have a few speakers. Start with Alex Estela.
My name is Alex Estela. I'm a resident of Cerritos. Basically, I'm here because of what we're talking about at Boss Street and Cerritos Street along Studebaker. So I'm here just to support my neighborhood to have a system where we could have a deterrence to lessen the law enforcement or incident that will happen to our area. There are other speakers that will talk about this, but being a Cerritos resident, and I live in that area, and also the mayor, Mr. Solansky, live in that area, I know that something will happen, and whatever consideration you can give, we will surely appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next is Mel Cortez.
I wish I had 5 minutes. Mel Cortez from Morning Sun. And the crime that was shown there, that's not the crime. The crime are all these 38 cars that we stopped from committing crimes. These are all from Spinnaker in last 4 weeks. Park on the side, park over here, park over there. This is what neighborhood watched us. We watch them, take pictures, make sure what they are, and those allowed that we didn't take pictures. These are in Windjammer, another 12 cars. They all come from Spinnaker. We had 3 entries, not 2, on the Morning Sun. All these are cars that we stop, that we keep an eye, changing tires, fixing their car, just relaxing, going When on another street, all these are just from that street. So Mr. Barrow said that there are very few people right now. You know why there are very few people here right now? Can you please stand up if you want your street closed, Morning Sun or Studebaker side? Can you please stand up so even if you're not going to speak? Okay. You know why there's so few of us? Because we cannot afford to come right now because they're going to rob us. That's why we ask everybody else to stay. Thank you. So that's why we have very few. So very few doesn't mean that we're not doing our job. The reason we only have 5 home break-ins since November in Morning Sun is because of Neighborhood Watch. We stopped many. The crime is not just what you see. That's the crime that happened. The crime that you don't see is the one we want to stop and keep stopping. If we close Spinnaker, we'll avoid most of these cars coming into our neighborhood. Most of these we stop, but some of these we are not able to. Some of our neighbors right now are patrolling. We drive morning, we drive in midday, we drive at night, take pictures, we look around. Every time they see us, they leave. People walk around, we watch and we tell each other to our group. And so don't assume that that's the only crime. And don't just assume that because there are 15, 16 people here, no one else wants it. Do a survey. We do a survey by Mr. Ivan said that you guys wouldn't believe us, so the city has to do their own survey. So we'll wait for the city survey so you could see. Up there show that most of the break-ins were at night. I thought it was 70-some% of the...
Mel, if you need more time, take your time. Don't rush.
Before we said that most of the home break-ins were in the daytime, but today I saw that 155 were at night. I'm in the safety committee, and we're always told that about 60-some% are in the daytime. But now it shows that 155 were at night, so I'm confused with the data. So we're here just to make sure that don't just stop us right here and vote not to proceed. We are doing our job. The sheriff's doing their job. The city's doing the job that we ask, and nothing has worked. So we're thinking out of the box. Closing one side, we have 3 sides. We close Studebaker, the people coming out of the freeway, all these cars will stop coming in. If they still have a need to go in, they're gonna break, they'll come in through 166 or through Greeley. And at least we pay attention, we'll be able to pay attention. Right here, there's nothing. There's all these cars. One of the cars at 11:30 at night, they stop on the side just to wash their car. 11:30 p.m. at night. You know why they didn't call? Because earlier I had called about 2 guys going door to door. And when I call, why are you calling us? Same thing like what I would say. What did they do? How do you know they're on that street right now? Are you following them? No, we're not following them. It's Neighborhood Watch. Okay, this person said, oh, now they're over here, they're over here, they're over here. I didn't call later on because of the way they think we are just faking things. One neighbor called, and one of the deputies, she has the name on the date and everything, said, well, a lot of fake calls come from that side. And if the captain wants to know the name, we have the name and the time and everything. So that's what she was told, that a lot of the calls from Morning Sun are fake.
I want you to give the name. I want you to give the name to the captain, please.
Yes. They're not fake because these cars are not fake. All these are pictures or cars that don't belong that our neighbors see on Spinnaker and Windjammer. Windjammer is no parking zone. All these are right there, middle of the night, 11:30, midnight, 7 p.m., all times. And all these are on Spinnaker and West Wing, which is a small little tiny street with 5 homes. Those 5 neighbors always constantly have people changing the tire, fixing their car, just stopping. They're nervous. One of their houses was broken into on January the 30th. So these are not fake. So please vote to continue with the traffic study because we know that Studebaker on Morning Sun, when you come out, there's no left turn, it's only right turn. There's no, if you come from the north to the south, there's no left turn either. There's only, when you leave, there's only a right turn, and when you come in, there's only a right turn. so it's a lot easier. We're not saying to do permanently. We ask for big planters. Students could still go through walking to go to Gar High School. People could still walk through, but we want to stop the cars. If they want to still come in and rob us, they'll have to go through 166 or through Greeley, and we will be waiting for them. Thank you for listening.
Thank you.
Goodbye.
Susie Vigil.
Hello, I'm Susie. I'm across Liberty Park, and I'd like to thank all of you for pushing this matter on and for bringing it here and for letting us discuss it more and for just considering the petition. I did have a very informal petition, but we did get in just 2 days during the last the rain season that we had that was like 2 weeks ago. I got about 100 signatures, one per home. People were coming, this is just in my neighborhood, to sign. They were just excited to explore this. And we're not saying permanently, it's just a trial to try and see if it helps. Because if we reduce our numbers, it's absolutely worth a lot of the factors that we've looked at. And thank you, Daryl, for calling us in. He brought the experts and they all explained just different factors that we don't think about. We're not the experts, but we realize there's a lot of legwork, a lot of factors to consider, and we appreciate you guys trying to work that out. And hopefully we can do that trial. Hopefully we could do that traffic study to see if it's in our best interest and to see if it works. Also, we are excited you guys are just looking at non-traditional solutions because this is new. If this doesn't work out, if you guys don't proceed, let's just continue to brainstorm and come up with more non-traditional solutions. Because I'm sure that if we continue to explore and just brainstorm and look to see what other neighborhoods are doing that are doing well, we'll come up with more ideas too. One thing that we've been doing a lot of is looking at MEL's data. I spoke about one track here in Cerritos that has one entrance that has had 0 break-ins for years, and that is true, but there are a lot of tracks here too with multiple entrances with a lot more homes who also have 0 break-ins. So maybe we could somehow study and see what these neighborhoods are doing and why they have 0 break-ins. And then we could share with other neighborhoods and just learn from each other. Because I'm sure that where we're situated and next to freeways and a lot of factors do contribute to the amount of break-ins, but I'm sure there's neighborhoods that are just also close to freeway that we're looking at based on MEL's data and they're doing so well. So maybe we could also look at that, Daryl, continue to explore that and study what we're all doing. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Susie. Margie de Lara. Okay, you agree with Mel. All right, Rocky Pavon.
Good evening, Mayor and Pro Tem Council members. My name is Rocky Pavon. I'm a loving, caring, passionate, God-driven servant leader. And I've lived in the Cerritos area for now 40 years. And I've just seen that the crime has just gone through the roof currently. And I'm here tonight because my #1 top priority is safety for my family and my neighbor's safety. I actually lived in the Morning Sun. I know exactly I lived around the corner from Mel Cortez. I know exactly what he's talking about because criminals jumped over my brick wall, smashed the sliding glass door, broke in and stole all of my wife's jewelry, including her wedding ring, a laptop, and an iPad. So this is personal to me. So I would ask you to please seriously take in consideration what Mel and Morning Sun has to say tonight because it's very important that we do find a solution to reduce the crime in our neighborhoods. And I also wanted to let everyone know here, and as well in the Cerritos residents, that I actually did a study looking back to 2020 up until today, and there have been 1,555 burglaries, 323 robberies, 1,412 grand theft autos, and 6,467 larceny thefts. So the way I feel is that crime is outrageous. This past Tuesday night, I attended this special event at the sheriff's station, with the dispatcher, and also Captain Strong was explaining what we can do to live in a better safety, and also what the job of the dispatchers was. And we got a chance to, after the discussion, to tour the dispatch center here at the Cerritos Sheriff Station. And I actually witnessed on the screen when there's about 5 deputy cars actually investigating the so-called homicide or murder, whatever it is, the killing that was just on Coyote Creek. Currently, my backyard is Coyote Creek. So that's a major concern for me now. I don't want to see them jumping over my wall again. So my concern is, once again, I'm really sick and tired of the crime in Cerritos, and I want to take Cerritos back and make it safer. I know we're not going to be able to stop all the crime in the city, but if we can reduce it 50%, that might be my intention. So my plan is to work with fellow Cerritos City Council members, the law enforcement, increasing security patrols, volunteers on patrol, neighborhood watch, also installing more automated license plate readers, which I want to thank you for installing, the ones that we have now, but we need to put more in. Also putting a security surveillance camera at every entry point in the neighborhood so that we can actually identify the makes and the models of the vehicles, just in case they have a paper plate and we can't identify that license plate. We can at least go back and look at surveillance videos from these neighborhoods to be able to identify maybe a make and a model if there was just a burglary, to be able to have a faster response for the sheriff's station to be able to catch these criminals and take action. So in closing, just during my Cerritos City Council campaign, I've been walking the streets, and also another issue is the safety of the sidewalks. I've actually almost tripped on a couple times, but I did email our city manager
your 2
to
minutes
take
is
down the
over, sir.
streets and the trees that are damaging the
Your
streets.
2 minutes finished.
Thank you very much. Appreciate
you.
your time.
Okay.
Thank you.
Next speaker I have is Adriana Timney. Adriana.
Hello, good evening. I first wanted to say that Mel was not exaggerating at all, that the residents are afraid to just leave their house because they're going to be burglarized. At the follow-up safety meeting we had, I live on Studebaker across from Liberty Park, the area being discussed. When we had the safety meeting with Daryl, one of our houses was broken into during the safety meeting. Like, it's not an exaggeration. These areas are targeted. I do want to say thank you very much for hearing our concerns and very quickly bringing the topic to the forefront. And thank you also for recently making the changes of the private patrols and prioritizing the burglar alarm calls. But unfortunately, the burglars have made it clear that we have to do a lot more. I've spent a good amount of time studying the crime maps and just the city maps, comparing tracks, counting houses, comparing the proximity of the freeway, entrances, the proximity to the police station, et cetera. And it's really not as clear-cut as it seems. Some of the tracks closest to the police station are the hardest hit and had the highest numbers of burglaries. Some of the tracks with a really quick freeway access had little to no break-ins. So it's really not as clear as we keep being told. Like, of course you live by a freeway entrance, of course these things are going to be happening. So I'd like to request a crime analysis that compares the neighborhood's traits. to address issues like what do the areas that have fewer break-ins have in common? What's different from the high break-in areas? What do the areas that seem to be targeted have in common? A lot of the residents are following the suggestions, like have cars in your driveway. I even have neighbors that, you know, they're like, I'm leaving, I'm gonna be gone all day. Can you come park your car in my driveway? I mean, this is daily, we're, you know, musical cars and things, like trying to take the suggestions from the sheriff's department. Locking side gates, put up the beware of a dog sign, even if you don't have a dog. And, you know, they're jumping over those locked gates. Like, we're still getting hit really hard. So I did see the chart with lots of red for the residents who aren't listening to the suggestions. So maybe that means we need a lot more outreach. But I think that a crime study would really help to properly address not just what can the residents do, but also what more can the city do. I'd like to also voice my support in a city-funded traffic study for the area across from Liberty Park and running a trial period of blocking one of the entrances. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next we have is Elizabeth Burdux.
First and foremost, like my neighbor Susie, I also want to thank you for the positive response to our concerns. I feel they have been heard to some understandably extent. There is a lot of work to do, and I have seen some progressive action. We too are getting involved, working diligently to do the neighborly deed. And although the meetings have been informative and educational, I have been attending to all of them and participating. We want to witness continued efforts and improvements. As the Cerritos City Council staff collectively, you guys take pride in doing your job and maintaining the city in the best measure possible, clean and safe. As we continue to express our concerns, we would love to see all of you taking pride in providing solutions. We ask that you continue to keep this safety topic on your desks and in your minds. It is inevitable that when we go home, this is a worldwide thing, we take work home. And as you, all of you, are safe in your homes and get a restful night, we hope that you, as our stewards, come back to work determined, courageous, to provide due solutions. Thank you.
Thank you. Those are the only cards I have for item 9A. If anyone else like to speak on this item, come on forward.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Vipul Vineet. I'm one of the residents at Morning Sun. Just gonna resonate what Mel said. Well, first of all, I'm one of the residents who got broken into a couple of weeks ago. Just to give you the perspective of what happened in the past couple of weeks, the chart or the stats of the crime that happened is very misleading. The only reason we only had about 8 or 10 in the past 3 months is nothing to do with the city, nothing to do with the sheriff station, and I'm sorry to say this. It has, all the credit goes to our neighbors, and Mel especially, because they're working day and night with the neighborhood group, avoiding all these kind of incidences. Now, the neighbor right behind us got broken into Thursday afternoon in the middle of the day at 1:30. We got broken into Friday evening at 8 o'clock. Our neighbor down the street got broken into Saturday. We're talking about 3 houses within not even a 0.25 mile radius, 3 days back to back to back. That shows the audacity not only of the criminals, but the fact how content they are getting into the city, not caring about the authorities, not caring about whatever the city is doing, and just kind of continuing with their business. I understand we have limited resources. You guys are trying to do the best you can. But obviously, whatever's been happening, it's not working. So at this point, what we're proposing about our neighborhood, having 3 different entrances, blocking one of them, which is the closest to the freeway, which becomes an immediate escape for all these criminals, becomes a safe haven for all the people trying to just do whatever, whether it's drugs, whether it's drinking, whether it's changing tires or whatever the case might be, if we can block that one entrance, if we can just try it out, temporary basis with the planters, if it can avoid these burglaries, avoid the crime incidences and the rates in our neighborhood, I think it's worth giving it a try. I mean, it doesn't take a lot from the city. In fact, if the city cannot afford it, we will pay for it. We've already discussed this. So we're not asking too much. We're asking you to just let us do whatever we can to safeguard our houses, our kids, our families, and just live a peaceful life. Now, on the similar lines, Mr. Barrows mentioned something about majority of the residents. And I'm sorry to say this, it's not like the city ever did anything by the majority of residences. You have done enough things, you have taken enough steps without anybody agreeing to it. So if you've done that in the past, I'm sure based on our experiences, you can take one step temporarily just because it puts us at peace. Even if we don't, out of the 240 some houses that we have in the neighborhood, even if half of them agree, I think it's worth trying. And that's all we ask for the time being. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Okay, anyone else like to speak on item 9A?
Good evening, Council. I just want to speak on just attending the November 4th meeting. There was a gentleman, I believe Dutch gentleman, who asked why you haven't designated Cerritos a non-sanctuary city yet. Talking to a lot of...
This is an item 9A for us.
Isn't it on public safety?
Public safety.
Yeah. What's regarding just, and speaking of people in our security apparatus, people get arrested and they get released. And our law enforcement's never able to ascertain their status here. If they're not in DMV records, how are you going to follow up with them to bring them to court? So that's why I'm not going to be intimidated by individuals like Mel Cortez. I actually want us all to come together and solve the issue once and for all. So I just want to ask to you, I don't want to take up all the time, what has been your objection to designating Cerritos a non-sanctuary
It's a
city?
different subject. Right now we are speaking about 9A, about closing 2 streets.
Oh, an entrance, okay. Entrance, okay, I believe there's probably gangs out of Norwalk moving into that area. I attend
sir,
Cerritos College.
If you have anything to relate to 9A regarding the closure of the street, you can speak.
Okay, what are the objections to allowing those communities to gate themselves? Instead of just, criminals aren't going to be, put off by just these paltry barricades. So.
Are you done?
I'm just getting started.
Thank you. Anyone else like to speak on this item?
Mayor Solanki, may I offer just one point of clarification?
Yes.
First of all, I'd like to thank Neighborhood Watch. They're absolutely right. These charts and the data only show what's actually occurred. And we know factually that the Neighborhood Watch is deterring crime. It's an essential component of the city's strategy, and we very much appreciate everything they do. Also like to thank Mel Cortez for pointing this out. I looked at this map again and looked at the data because this came from our crime analyst here, and no fault of her own, because I asked her to get this data here today, at the last minute. And the reason why the majority of these things are showing at nighttime, it's actually inverted. Looked at the data, probably 2/3 of residential burglaries happened during the daytime, 1/3 in the evening hours. These colors were different in the beginning of the year. So what I asked her to do was please reflect all daytime burglaries as blue for blue sky, and then red as for the nighttime, which is the most dangerous. So that when you looked at it, it was intuitive that the nighttime ones were the dangerous ones, the daytime was the blue ones. But in the beginning of the year, we had them inverted because no one really assigned that much responsibility or that much importance to the colors. But I thought when we do post them that those colors there. So the data got mixed up. The totals are correct, but it should be inverted that the reds are actually the daytime and the blues are the nighttime in this chart, but we'll correct that and put that back out. But I didn't want to alarm people that most of the stuff is going on at nighttime. It is most of the stuff going on during the daytime. And when we say daytime, we're talking about sun up to sundown, not particular hours, because what the crooks are really looking for is empty homes. And that's why they come around, towards sunset. That's when it's easy to spot an empty house. So just wanted to clarify
Thank
that.
you.
Thank you.
Again, we're still in continue 9A. If anybody like to speak on this item? Seeing none, I will close the public comments. I'm sorry, go ahead. Okay.
Hello, my name is Yasmin Cortez. I'm Mel Cortez's daughter. So I don't have that much to say. I'm just trying to stand in solidarity with my neighborhood. It has been very stressful. I have friends in other surrounding neighborhoods, and supposedly we deem Cerritos as the safest, but they don't have their homes being broken into. They don't have their cars being broken into, and it seems like I'm the one who's up at night till 3 a.m. I'm looking out the window like a crazy person. Anyone who's suspicious, we've called on our own neighbors based on like the different cars, because as we heard earlier, like it's not like just a specific car. It could kind of just be anyone. Like we had a Tesla that was just like parked on the side, and nobody had called that in because, oh, maybe it's just a resident, but bam, it was another burglar. So I really hope that you listen to the residents. I hope that you stand in solidarity with us too. Let's just try something different. I look at everyone in my neighborhood, and they're doing the right things. They have their lights on, they have their vests on, they're walking at night, everybody knows each other, but things are still happening. So let's just try something different and think out of the box. So I really hope that we try this out, and I just stand in solidarity with safety in my neighborhood. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
Sophia Zet. I'm here, just wanted to let everyone know my house got broken in 2 times. And they live in this Morning Sun area. I think Mel got a really good point. Some city, actually San Francisco area, they also block some extra in and out exit way because they use a big flower pot and put in the block one of the in and out entryway. Because that really helps it to some city. Monterey Park has it, Alhambra has it. And maybe we can give us a try, at least give it a try and see, do we have decreased our crime rate or not in our area? Because really kind of scared. Second time they broke in my house, they didn't get anything, but I have everything in my house. I have a light, I have a camera everywhere. Like I mentioned to everyone, my husband's a mechanical engineer. But unfortunately, they still went to my house. When we got home, the house was upside down. So I'm asking you, please give us a try and see what is the outcome.
Thank you. Okay, in none, I will close the public hearing, bring it back for a council for comments.
I apologize, Mayor, if I may.
Oh, so you have a
announce-
written comments, okay.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Prior to tonight's meeting, the City Council received full text, unredacted copies of 3 written comments submitted for item 9A by the deadline listed on the agenda for inclusion in the official record. Requests for copies of written comments submitted for the meeting can be made during regular business hours to the office of the City Clerk. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so we'll bring it back for the council for comments. What's the?
Just open conversation,
Yeah.
I guess the dialogue. I'd like to make a motion that we do start the studies, because I agree. If your house is broken into, and you mentioned your house, Sophie, was turned upside down. My house was a mess when they got done. They raided threw everything out. This is on my, our wedding anniversary. We went out for dinner early. This is late afternoon, and it's very disturbing. But when we have changes that affect the whole neighborhood or track, we have surveyed residents, and it's not just once; it's been numerous times. And so, what my motion would be is that we start with these 2 tracks to do a survey as quickly as we can, to see if we have, I don't know what the council is going to decide, if we need a majority or
Just traffic study, or are we also looking at the closure of those two areas?
both. It has
Okay,
to be both.
Okay.
But,
All right.
but the actual, in fact, to me, the traffic study doesn't mean anything. It's more that do the residents want to close off one, or in the other case, one or two entrances and exits? So
why don't we just, Bruce, expedite that and just trial it out, these two area, and closing, planters or whatever temporary, and see what happens. I mean, if the crime goes down, we know that it works. If the crime doesn't go down, it doesn't work.
Well, like I said, I've had phone calls from residents saying they did not want it. I understand those that had the houses broke into, or the neighbors, they're going to be concerned about it. My neighborhood, which is right north of here, has
Bruce,
had
I'll
so
tell
many.
you, I know that area very well. I live there. There's a camera we have. There's a car unit over there. Still, houses are getting broken in every day in that area.
If you
So
look
something
on,
has
if
to
you
be
look on the
taken
map,
care
it
of.
says my
Something,
neighborhood too.
like residents says, if whatever we're doing, it's not working. Residents has idea of a closer those two streets. We should try it for temporary base and find out. Give it a trial.
Mr. Mayor, if you make that motion, I will second it.
Okay.
Okay.
But I think there's a motion on the floor from Bruce. Is that a motion, Bruce?
Yeah, mine was a
So
motion.
it will require a second.
That we did very quick survey.
Survey on the traffic and closure, yes. So we have motion and second. Roll call, please.
I'm sorry, I'm a little confused. Are we going on Bruce's motion or Naresh's motion?
No, mine.
First motion would have.
First motion.
Okay, what is the first motion then?
To do a very quick survey to close, to close off one or more exits. There's one, there's only two, in the southern one, in the Rich's track, and on Mills there's three.
I think they're both. I think the Mel area, they're also asking for one, and the Liberty Cross Street from Liberty Park asking for one. So one closure from both sides.
I think the closure, the particular ingress that they're requesting has already been determined by the residents. So are we doing the temporary first, or are we doing a survey? I'm a little confused.
Bruce, if I may ask you to withdraw your motion so we can actually have discussion. You're putting
Yes.
pressure on the council to second your motion. Some of us may be interested in adding to your motion, but you're
Okay, but proper rules of
understand,
order is
so-
to have a motion, then have a discussion, and
Yeah,
then
no, I understand.
Yeah, throw it down or pass it.
But his motion is that
This is
to
on the
do
table.
traffic study quickly and then look into the closure of those two streets.
Okay. In
the
fact, the
motion?
traffic study is not important. It's
Yeah,
the closure
closure
issue.
of those.
We can do that.
The traffic
quickly.
study is just going to show there won't be any traffic driving through that block area. So I don't know why we need to spend money. And I get public works.
No, my motion was strictly for the survey.
What survey? Survey of residents?
Of the track that's involved, every home, to find out how many want it and don't want it.
Okay. Just so we can actually follow rules of order here, I'll second that so we can discuss it further. But I'm going to ask that you're going to either amend it or add to it. But right now, because you made that motion and we need discussion, they're part of that I agree with, but there needs to be more to it than just that is my concern. So I'll second it so we can continue on with discussion. So I'll second that right now. And I'll ask for discussion.
I
before
think
you
Linda
call for a
already
vote.
seconded anyway. Linda seconded, right? Just
Oh, you did? Oh, I'm
study
sorry. Okay.
for traffic study.
So Linda second. Oh, so we're having discussion now. Okay,
Yes.
great. Thank you. Can I go first?
Go ahead.
All right, thank you. All right, so as I'm listening to all the residents, I agree. Something has to happen. Things have to be done. And the residents who live there know better than any one of us that sit up here, except for Naresh, because he lives there too. So at the end of the day, if that's what the residents want, I'm all for it. But that has to be what the residents want. And so I don't want any assumptions on our part or the residents' part. I do want to know that the residents want it. We will need to make sure, to me, if one resident or two residents or even 100 residents don't want it, that's an issue, because I'll tell you right now, as an executive member of the California JPIA, when the city does everything correct, and someone gets hurt, the city is still held to a standard of liability. And so it's easy to say that, let's do this and it's going to lower crime. It probably will. And it'll reduce traffic for sure. There's no question that if you block an entrance, that traffic survey is going to say there's no traffic going through it. So we don't need a traffic survey, but I understand maybe legal reasons we might need to do that. But I'll tell you, I can't share the details because it was closed session last night at a California JPI meeting that I had to attend. The city that we had to deal with did everything right, and someone got hurt. And, you know, we still have to consider paying out. And that's just the culture of today's age. So that's why cities today have to be very careful when we make decisions like this. If one resident calls the fire department, and I'm thinking risk management here. I'm not saying I don't support the residents. I 100%. If that's your residence, if that's your neighborhood, let's do it. But if one resident goes and calls the fire department, and because they have to drive all the way around, and those mere seconds cause that residence to pass, the family can look at everything that evolved up to that point. And shockingly, even when it has nothing to do with the city, they can file a lawsuit, and the heartstrings that are pulled during a jury of 12, we've learned that it doesn't matter if the city follows the rules. The rules of the California state courts allow jurors to disregard all that and rule in favor of the plaintiff, which in this case could be that person that passed or the family that sued the city, because they want to reward that settlement just because they felt bad. And so the mere fact that it caused mere seconds to pass because the city didn't allow for that passage to happen. So I'm putting my hat on as a risk management, and my question to staff will be, did we even discuss this with California JPIA when it comes to this, one? And two, Mel kind of made a comment about assumptions that the city doesn't believe what the residents are saying, so we need to make our own survey. I'm good with the residents making the survey, but you have to go, and I said this at the last meeting, 100% of the residents have to agree to it. It has to be 100%, because if one house doesn't, they bought that house knowing there was an entrance and exit at that location, right? So if 100% says, you know what, we agree, I'm all for it, again, it's all for the residents to decide. The reason I say this is because I remember 20-something years ago when I moved here and I wanted to throw a block party because of a neighborhood watch. And when we lived in the cul-de-sac, I remember I had to get every single house to sign off on just temporary blocking that street so we can have a block party, just putting a barrier, a portable barrier we can carry. But here we're going to put permanent, not permanent, but really difficult to move structures. And so if a block party, we need 100% compliance. This is a little bit more serious, I think, and we need more compliance, 100% compliance from the residents. So if the residents bring a survey with every single house signing off, I'm good with it. We don't need to spend money on a survey from the city. I will believe the residents, and Mel, you can organize it, and then the rest, your neighborhood, you should organize it if you can. I mean, if we get 100% compliance and we have that on record, then we can say, look, you signed off on this, and it won't be an issue later. And again, I support the residents when it comes down to that. So I say if the residents already have a survey, then bring it in, and I think we can look at that. Someone mentioned that we need to think out of the box. Traditional solutions aren't working. I think the problem is we've gone away from the traditional solutions from years past when things were a lot better and things were, we relied on law enforcement, and law enforcement were allowed to do a lot more things. I agree we need to think of the box, but we also have to go back to the times when law enforcement were allowed to do more things. And so we got to look at that as well. And Mel, I agree with you. The neighborhood watch does work. We can't log things that hasn't happened, but you bring forward the stuff that you've found that could deter a stat in our city shows that neighborhood watch works. So we don't disagree with that. We hope you continue to do that work. And Mel, as my committee member, my appointee on the safety committee, I've tasked Mel and to open to when we first started. What did I tell you? I said I want the goal is that you have a neighborhood watch on every single street in the city. We're never going to get there, but that was the task that I had on my two committee members, because I know neighborhood watch works. And you've proven it tonight by showing the photos that you've deterred crime that we can't even put on stats, but it works. So continue to do it. Don't be discouraged because crime continues to happen. I know that you probably didn't want to bring this up, but one of your residents did right there in front when you call you out. But my also concern is the cost, right? Because once we open this can of worms up, other neighborhoods are going to say, well, this might be something we consider too. And we have a lot of neighborhood tracks out there. And so the cost of it is one of the things that I was a little bit hesitant and concerned about, is that if the residents are willing to, one, all agree, and if they're all willing to pitch in, that might be something that might make it easier transition for the rest of the city. If they want it, they can do it too. So I'm not thinking about just your neighborhood, because what's going to happen is other neighborhoods going to ask for it, and then we're going to realize we're going to have to calculate the cost. If we had every single neighborhood or half the neighborhood doing it, it's going to be a huge cost for the city. And then all of a sudden the program shuts down, right? And then they're going to say, well, how come they can do it and we can't? So I look at the cost, and if the neighborhood wants to consider paying for it, that's outstanding, and that'd be great. But then we have no excuse to really do it once you get the survey signed, and every single house is good for it. So the reason why I said I wanted to add to the motion or amend it is that I'm good with the motion, but I want to make sure that we follow up not just with a survey of all the residents, either we do it or the residents do it, but also to make sure risk-wise that we contact California JPIA as well. And I know it sounds like we're trying to delay it, but really we're trying to protect the city, because lawsuits today aren't in the hundreds of thousands anymore. They're in the multi-millions. And every month I sit on this committee and we approve tens of millions of dollars because of lawsuits throughout the state of California. And so those are the concerns that I have, and I want to protect our city in that. So just, a phone call to California JPA, see what the risk issues are and how we can limit that, and what suggestions they may have for us for risk management in the event that something in the future were to happen, because JPA is going to be the one that has to pay for it. And so we need to include them in the discussion. And I apologize for not bringing this up the last time, but it caught my attention because of the meeting last night of some of the lawsuits that we had to deal with. So those are that would be the friendly amendment I'll ask you to add, and then I would vote for this to move forward. And I'm good with the residents providing the survey. So, but those would be the two things that I would request.
Excuse me. Try it again. I approve the friendly amendment. And that would just be part of the staff report. Come back as quick as you can get this back to it, to the council.
Can you clarify again the motion and the friendly amendment?
Okay, the motion is to do the survey of each of the two tracks that we're looking at, and to, at the same time, consult with JPIA, ask them as Chung has advised, and have that come back to the council, the results. Hopefully, we're talking not too long, a week or two or three. And Mel, if I can ask a question, one of the times I know one of the surveys we had all the residents sign a basically we had a survey card put together. We had more than city staff go out and have the residents sign off on it. Is that something that you'd be agreeable to to help? Okay, thank you. And so that might be a way to increase our manpower to get a quicker response. And just have a resident sign off, put their address on it, and then turn that in. So to me, I don't think we need to wait for a month or two or three, but to bring it back so that we can have a quick action by the council or consideration.
I have comments. So thank you, Bruce. Thank you, Chung. I appreciate your comments. However, you're talking timelines of 2 weeks, 3 weeks. Action needs to be taken now. They want a temporary barricade. They don't even want to be here tonight because by the time they get home, one of them may be a victim.
Might be broken again.
And so I really appreciate, Chung, what you have said about JPIA. I'm really torn about that because I also have a duty to the city that do not open ourselves out to litigation. However, I think I'm going to want to offer another option of actually putting a temporary barricade as soon as possible and then conduct the survey simultaneously. So the barricade would be, what, 2 weeks, 4 weeks?
Linda, that sounds reasonable to me, but you second his motion, so we have to deal with that. And then,
Yeah. I said, yeah, if it allows me to make provide a separate motion, but that's where I'm at. I want to take action now. I mean, to see them not wanting to be here because their homes may be burglarized, and we just heard at the February 14th meeting, they got burglarized while we were at the meeting. I was at that meeting. So that's my thoughts.
Okay.
So, I'm sorry, I'm confused now because he made a motion that you second, so now we have to vote on it, but you're now not supporting that motion?
The motion to second, like Bruce said, that's to open up comments.
So are you gonna withdraw that second, or you want to?
No, I'll keep the second because it was to offer.
Because I think your idea is reasonable as well, because it is temporary, but, you know, we have this motion on the table.
No,
to
yeah,
do it.
the second was to allow for comments for discussion.
Mayor Slonky, may I join the conversation with just one point as you're discussing all this? Because I brought the map back up, but I think it's really important to know which streets we're going to be closing since we're moving so quickly, and who's going to make that decision, whether, in this case, Bigelow or Boss, because, one street is going to have an increase in traffic where the other one won't. I just want to be sure that we follow your instructions. And in the other street, because what I haven't heard is which street we want closed and who's going to make that decision. If I could just get some clarity there, that'd be very helpful for staff.
Well, I think if you ask me, the closest to the freeway should be the closest, close first.
So on Morningside, if I'm correct, it would be the street off of Studebaker north of the 91 freeway. If the residents could help me, what the name of that street? Spinnaker. Thank you. I'm not familiar with the streets in your neighborhood, Naresh.
Bigelow, I would say close Bigelow, closer to the freeway.
So can I please make some comments? So I agree with Councilmember Johnson that time is of the essence here. But I had questions about and concerns about the staff report, the report prepared by our public safety manager, Darrell Evans, and I do, as a council member, I do value his experience, his decades of experience and knowledge in helping me serve the residents of Cerritos as a council member to keep Cerritos the safest that we can under the circumstances we are facing in these times. And I do agree again with Councilmember Johnson about having a temporary closure of one of the entrances / exits. But that was a good point, Darrell, that which one and who makes that decision, and maybe that should be part of the survey that will be conducted in connection, as Councilmember Johnson said, do a survey in conjunction with closing one of the entrances / exits for now, and then we should conduct a survey of the residents living in that neighborhood of do they want the closure of the entrance / exit to continue going forward, and which one do they want closed. So that could be included in the survey, and I'm just throwing that out there because I want to know what my colleagues think and what Darrell thinks about. Should we let the residents decide which one to close in the survey, or should, as the mayor said, should we just say, let's close the one closest to the freeway? And how do we analyze that? Because, for example, in this neighborhood that we're talking about with two two entrances slash exits. One's closer to the 605 freeway on South Street, and one's closer to the 605 freeway on Del Amo. So which one is closest to the
Closest
freeway?
one is Bigelow on the South Street.
Okay, so we're going to look at the one closest to South Street and not the one closest to Del Amo as one way of looking at it if we don't let the residents make the decision in the survey. So that's one of my thoughts is what should be included in the survey. Is it just a yes, no, do you want a closure of one of your entrances slash exits, or should we also ask them which entrance slash exit do you want closed? But one thing that caught my concern is in this agenda report you prepared, Daryl, and I do want to thank you. You know, the residents came here on February 13, and here we are 2 weeks later, 14 days later, with this agendized item so we could have this robust conversation where you can ask questions and we can have a discussion. And that's what this city council meeting is about. It's about a meeting. This is your meeting. This is the public's meeting, okay? But Daryl, this report had a statement in the conclusion on page 4 where it says, should the survey yield anything less than unanimous resident consensus, it is recommended that no further action be taken on this matter. Why was that written? Why does it have to be unanimous? In the opinion as stated in this conclusion of this agenda report that was put out to the public and to the city council, why can't we move forward with something like a majority or something less than unanimity? Why does it need to be unanimous?
Thank you for that opportunity. That would be very much along the same lines as Mayor Pro Tem Vo, risk management, having that everyone's involved. So having done some of the things similar, some people benefit by it. In other words, if your street is closed, then that's going to be a quieter point. Sometimes if you're going to have the entire track flow out of one particular street, then the people who live closer are going to hear more vehicle traffic and there's going to be more activity around there. I don't know this track. I don't know who plays catch in the street and all that sort of thing. So depending on if you have young kids or not, depending on the flow of traffic, it's going to have a different characteristic. But again, that's up to the neighbors. So, I looked at it holistically as one large group and who's going to be impacted. And there's a lot of variations for that. We're talking about cutting down on residential burglaries, but, you're going to live with that all the time. We've had an occasion where somebody by the school wanted their curb painted red, and we did it. And then they realized that curb was red all the time, during the daytime, during the weekend, during the summer. And they came back to us shortly afterward and asked the city to sandblast it off because they didn't want to live with the consequence of a red curb all the time because it denied them space to park all the time. And it comes back to this where, that you're going to change the conditions of that neighborhood. And as long as everyone is happy with that, then, we support whatever the decision is. But the main reason for that was liability, making sure that everyone there was supportive. I've done surveys like this before, and sometimes when residents ask, people don't want to create friction or drama within the community, so they agree only to quietly, express either through email or calls that they really don't support it, but they don't want to disrupt the harmony in the neighborhood. So that was the reason for that.
May I comment? So I think for the 100% buy-in, that would be if we were to permanently close off. I think would be a good way to do it. But I think for a temporary one, it would give an opportunity for residents, even those that are on the fence, to see if this is something that they could live with or see if they even see a positive change. But I think with a temporary one, we just move forward with it. And also, I'm also concerned about the survey. I want to make sure that it's like a sealed vote. Everybody gets to vote privately in the comfort of their own home, because I want it to be fair to them and not feel pressure from the residents. If I could, I'd like to make a substitute motion. Is that appropriate at this time, even though there's a motion on the floor? Yeah. Okay, my substitute motion then is to go ahead and proceed to temporarily close off Spinnaker and Bigelow for a temporary period of 4 weeks. That's not enough time? Well, how many weeks would you like? Oh, 4 months? Okay. 4 months. Immediately. Like starting tomorrow, we put a planner over there.
I second that.
Oh, no, I got to do the survey part. And then, and at the same time, the communities will conduct their own survey and make sure that it's a survey conducted that's fairly, and bring it back to us later in 4 months. And then we'll determine at that time if we would need to close, if there's a will to close it off. And I would say also, if there's a will to close it off permanently, that we do go through a traffic study just to make sure we've crossed our T's and dotted our I's. That's my motion. And thank you for your second, Mr. Mayor.
Can I include a friendly amendment that the city send out a letter to the residents in that neighborhood that what's going on and that entrance/exit is going to be closed for 4 months?
For 4 months, yes. Thank you for the friendly amendment.
So you accept it?
I do.
Does the seconder? Thank you.
Point of order. Mayor, point of order. I believe that there may be a requirement to recuse yourself of voting, Mayor, with respect to your neighborhood.
See, I knew you were
But the other one you can vote on, but not the one that you are. So I think you should withdraw your second. and someone
Okay,
else
I'll
should
withdraw my second.
I'll second it.
This is my motion, right?
That is correct.
Okay. Abstain, right? Abstain.
You
said
can make
on
it
that
into two separate motions. You can vote on the closure of the street plus the survey on Spinnaker.
I'll abstain, you know.
Or you can just abstain altogether.
Okay, I'll abstain. Go ahead.
And there's a motion on the floor made by Councilmember Johnson and seconded by Councilmember Yokoyama to temporarily close off Spinnaker and Bigelow for a temporary period of 4 months immediately, and to allow the communities to conduct surveys, anonymous surveys, and report back to the council and staff to report to the council in 4 months.
Waiting for you.
I believe that motion also included a referral to JPIA.
JPIA as well.
as the traffic survey.
And the traffic survey, correct. If there was a will to have it closed permanently. But maybe we could do the JPIA in the meantime, in the 4 months. Are you okay with that, Chung?
I'm really concerned. One, we don't have all buy-in from the residents today. And I'm really concerned about the risk and liability. And then Daryl brought up a good point, you know. But then other residents, I mean, I can bypass that a little bit. What Daryl brought up was that we close one. Now the residents that are at that exit and entrance are all going to deal with the higher traffic volume. And that's why I feel like we need that buy-in from all the residents, because now, like during rush hour, everyone leaves at work or takes their kids to school same time. They have to all go to that one exit, you know. It's just, and then the homes along those exits are now dealing with all the traffic. And that's why I'm trying to be the voice of everybody out there, in the sense that if they just give them opportunity to say what they want and hear what they need to hear from their neighbors. And so that's where I'm torn. Is I want to do it, but at the same time I'm concerned about the liability and then the issues with just the buy-in from everybody. And, you know,
This
so.
is just a
Robert, do we
temporary-
close down streets in the city? Have we ever closed down driveways, streets,
They have
egress,
been
ingress?
Sure, they have been closed temporarily, like for special events. I'm not
Or how about
aware.
for
construction or
construction? Have we closed streets for construction?
Yeah, but it's of a very temporary nature,
How
no
long is
longer than just a
temporary?
few days. I'm not aware of any.
195th, Frank, wasn't it closed down for quite a while with that water issue?
Yeah, and we got a ton of complaints from residents that it was closed down. And so, you know, this is what I honestly feel is that we're going to do this, and I know we'll get residents going to call the council and complain about these temporary closures because you don't hear the side, like pine trees. I'll use pine trees as an example. For the longest time, everyone comes in, we need to cut down the pine trees, so we started reforestation, started cutting down pine trees. So now what do we get? And the residents don't know this. We get emails from residents on those neighbors that have pine trees and we're cutting it down because of the safety issues. And we're getting complaints from them because the birds live in those pine trees, or we like the way it looks. And so we're gonna hear it, and that's I'm telling you now, that'd be unavoidable. But I'm good with giving it a temporary, as long as it's temporary and we can move forward with it. But I'm not comfortable with it.
And if I may, just for clarification, with the understanding of the term immediate, there is some time needed for procurement and setting up of materials, and we would like to consult with JPI prior to even a temporary, just to make sure whatever is installed is,
But
addresses
how
any
long is
potential
that
concerns.
going to take?
So as soon as feasible is what I'd like to say.
What is feasible?
Within the next couple weeks, I was.
And if we don't
hoping.
have a planter, a beautiful planter out there, I don't care if we put those bar rail thingies.
So K-rails would be a likely quick solution, but even that, just to make sure we can procure the appropriate amount.
And I'm also good with something that's obvious that, you may put a sign, you come through here, we're going to catch you. I mean, something, but make it obvious what the neighbors are doing. But again, I do have this concern that residents are going to be upset that we do it without hearing them today because they're not here. There's going to be residents that don't even know about all this stuff. So that's just, I'm just throwing it out there. But I voted yes.
I just want to point out that there was a public safety demonstration in Artesia at a park that Daryl and I attended about devices that can close streets. And you could look, can you provide that information to the city manager, please?
Yes, we did go. Those are temporary barriers. I would not recommend them in this case only because nighttime they're not illuminated.
Okay. All right. Can you announce the results of the vote, please, City Clerk?
The motion passes on a vote of 3-1 with 1 abstention.
Thank you. Thank you all. Thank you all for coming tonight. Okay, it's already 9 o'clock, so 5 minutes break. At this time, we'll adjourn for 5 minutes break. Thank you. He is not even listening to me. Frank, Bruce. All right, we're resuming the meeting back. We are on item 9B, Mr. City Manager. City Manager is not even here. You're all right. Next item is the item agenda 9B. Robert, do we have reports on this?
Yes, thank you, Mayor, members of the City Council. Item 9B is an item recommended by an ad hoc working group of the City Council as it relates to amendments to the City Council Protocol Manual. An overview will be provided by Mr. Carey, and following his presentation, he and I would be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Lopez. Good evening, Mayor, members of the City Council. The item before you this evening is the review and consideration of proposed updates to the City Council Protocol Manual. The original manual was adopted in 2013, and as the council is aware, is intended to be a living document that reflects current industry best practices and aligns with the city's evolving policies and procedures. In the interest of achieving that objective and at the direction of the City Council, the Protocol Manual Ad Hoc Working Group has been working on updating the manual to bring it into alignment with the changes that have occurred in the intervening 12 years since its original adoption. In addition to general editorial corrections, highlights of some of the proposed updates include the development of protocols for the annual reorganization of the City Council, guidance on City Council communication with the press and community, and the establishment of formal standards for council interaction with staff, among other items. With that, the Protocol Manual Ad Hoc Working Group is recommending that the council review the proposed changes and adopt the updates provided herein. And this concludes my report. Be happy to take any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Ryan and Robert, for the report. Council has any questions on this item? Okay, if it's not, I will now open the public comments on this item, item 9B. Anybody would like to speak on this item can come. And I do have Celia Spitzer, one speaker. I'm sorry? Oh, okay, yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't see the name.
Hello again. I've reviewed the proposed amendments
to the protocol manual, and as with the commissions and committees handbook item on the December 12th agenda, this document has numerous errors and inconsistencies. It would literally take me hours to list them. Consequently, the proposed revision is in no way ready to be even discussed, let alone voted on tonight. As with the handbook, some of the needed corrections are relatively minor. They are in sections 2.03.1, 2.04.2 C and D, 2.04.4 A and B. In fact, in 04.4, there are actually 2 Bs. Additionally, corrections are needed in 2.08.1.2 and .3, 3.02.1, .2, .5, and 4.01. As with the handbook, all references to he, she, or the like need to be changed to the correct corresponding form of the word they. One area that needs significant correction is the one describing proclamations and certificates of recognition. They are described in both section 5.04 and in the appendix under a different section number. The qualifications for consideration for each differ and conflict with each other. So in 2 different places, they don't say the same thing. Another item with which I take particular exception is 2.02.1, rotation of council members. While its content sounds nice and reflects what was nearly always done in practice since Cerritos was incorporated, it has not been done in recent years. I find it curious that what I suppose a majority of the current council supports is exactly not the way it has operated in the past 5 or 6 years. In summary, this is not the time to vote on this item unless a majority of you are willing to vote no. Most of you will not even be on the council in just over 2 weeks. If a successful no vote cannot be achieved, all of you should at least vote to table 9B to an unspecified time after the 3 new people are on the council. Then they, along with the continuing council members, can decide whether or not to update the protocol and exactly what they want those changes to be. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else like to speak on this item? Seeing none, I will now close the public comments period, bring it back for the council for any comments.
I'd like to address, one item, say that you mentioned about the rotation. During the course of this past year that we've all worked on it, Linda Johnson and the mayor both asked that we have this rotation put in here. And I agree with it. It's time to go ahead and bury what started, back when the council deprived, the mayor from being mayor, and also Jim Edwards. There are other issues that we have not got into, is why it hasn't happened, and I'm not going to get into it tonight because it is a lot more sensitive. But I agree that it should be in here, and it should make it a pathway. We did have our attorneys, both of them, in the past, go through the language, be sure it's in there, and cover the practice that we've done it. There's been very few exceptions. The last one that I'm aware of that had a change is when Joseph Cho asked to have it changed to allow him to go into an election as mayor. Prior to that, I can name off a couple other council members. Some were done at the request of the mayor pro tem that should have gone into it because of work schedules or whatever it was, decided not to have it. But the exceptions, going back over the history of the city, is very rare. So anyway, the language is in there to go ahead and clarify it and make it easy for this election to go forward and have that followed. And with that, I'll make a motion to approve what staff has worked very hard along with the committee, to produce this. This has been a very extensive, long-term, project.
Okay. We have a motion.
I'll second it.
Okay. We have motion and second. Do a roll call.
Can I make a comment?
Sure. Go ahead, Frank.
So I disagree 100% with what you said, Bruce.
Over what?
This started, you mentioned something started. This started when the city council deprived Councilmember Mark Polito of making his chosen appointments at the city council meeting in 2013. So you have your opinion of when it started, and a lot of other people have an opinion different from you of when it started. So just remember that. Remember that a lot of people disagree with you. So a lot of time and energy was spent on this protocol manual. I'd like to thank the staff who spent a lot of time and energy putting together redlining and formatting and moving things around and listening to the ad hoc groups changes that they wanted to make to this and following those instructions and putting it together. So thank you for your hard work. And at first I thought that this was a waste of time and our taxpayer dollars. But I want to be more optimistic, like the glass is half full, because that time and effort will help us appropriately update this protocol manual later this year. Because this was a waste of taxpayers' dollars in the sense that we were trying to get to a final version tonight. But let's try to salvage that, because the express words of this document state in Chapter 9, biennial review, 9.01, biennial review. The City Council will specifically review and, if necessary, revise the protocol manual every April following a City Council election. So I, as one of the two continuing council members on this City Council, the second one being Linda Johnson, I plan to follow the guidance of this document and make sure that the new City Council, after the election, 5 days from today, follow the guidance, the suggestion of Chapter 9, Section 9.01, and the new City Council, who is going to look to this protocol manual for best practices and guidance. That new City Council will specifically review and, if necessary, revise the protocol manual every April following a City Council election, period. So whatever happens here tonight, it happened, but in April, the process of reviewing and, if necessary, revising this protocol and manual will start again. Thank you.
Okay, we have motion and second.
And the motion passes on a vote of 3-2.
Thank you. Next item is the item 9C. City Manager, do we have reports on this item?
Yes, thank you, Mayor, members of the City Council. Item 9C is an annual action required under state law. It's an informational update regarding the progress on the city's general plan. This item will be presented this evening by Advanced Planning Manager Sabrina Chan, and following her presentation, members of our staff will be happy to answer any question.
Thank you, Mr. Lopez. Good evening, Honorable Mayor and members of the City Council. The item before you this evening is a brief informational report on the city's 2024 General Plan Annual Progress Report to be submitted to the State of California as required by the Government Code. As you are aware, a general plan is a state-mandated planning policy document establishing long-term guidance for the physical development, planning, and zoning of a city. Each year, the state requires cities to prepare an annual progress report, APR, summarizing its efforts in implementing goals and policies found within a jurisdiction's general plan. The progress report must be submitted to the state by April 1st of each year. In response to this requirement, the city has prepared its APR, providing a comprehensive overview of the city's ongoing efforts during 2024. This year, significant development accomplishments, as well as minor updates to the implementation status of programs in the general plan, were made, including RENA progress was provided. Specifics on these minor updates and implementation efforts during 2024 are provided in tonight's agenda report and the report's attachment. On February 5th, 2025, the Planning Commission received and filed this item. As this is an informational item only, staff recommends that the City Council review and discuss the information contained within the annual progress report and receive and file this report. This concludes my presentation. I'd also like to take a moment to recognize the cumulative efforts of all of the city's departments and divisions who assisted in preparation of this document. Each of their teams have been instrumental in implementing the city's general plan programs. With that, city staff, including myself and Director of Community Development, Ms. Aguila, are available to answer any questions the council may have. Thank you.
Thank you, Sabrina and Christine, for a report. Does council has any questions for the staff? Seeing none, I will now open up the public comments on the item 9C. If anyone would like to speak on this item. Seeing none, I will close the public comments period and bring it back for a council comments.
Move to approve staff recommendation.
Second.
Okay, we have motion and second.
And I believe the electronic voting has been activated. And the motion passes on a vote of 5-0.
Thank you. Next item is item 9D. Mr. City Manager, do a report on this item.
Yes, thank you, Mayor, members of the City Council. Item 9D is a potential amendment to our existing agreement with the city's trash hauler to comply with state law and provide various related amendments. The presentation this evening will be given by Director of Public Works, Alvin Papa, and following his presentation, he and I will be happy to answer any questions.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and City Council. Tonight we'll be discussing Amendment 2 to the city's solid waste agreement with Athens Services, our current waste hauler. Their current contract runs through December 2027, and this amendment ensures compliance with new state laws. Joining us tonight is Randon Lane, Vice President of Government Affairs with Athens Services, and he will be available after the presentation to assist with any questions. In 2016, Senate Bill 1383, otherwise known as SB 1383, was passed to help reduce methane emissions by requiring cities to recycle organic waste, like food scraps and yard trimmings. This law also introduced new rules for how cities track and report waste. To follow these new regulations, the city worked with Athens to make changes to our agreement via Amendment 1. This amendment included turning residential green carts into organics carts, which made them available for food and yard waste, expanding the types of food waste businesses could throw into organic bins, and adding community events like compost giveaways and paper shredding. To ensure compliance, Amendment 1 relied on the use of special sorting facilities called high diverting material recovery facilities, called MRFs for short. These MRFs could separate recyclables from trash. However, starting in January 1, 2025, no such facilities are available in California. Without these MRFs, waste must now be sorted correctly at the source. This means that residents and businesses will need to separate trash, recyclables, and organics into 3 separate bins. And so why is the change necessary? Well, this is because SB 1383 requires that organic waste stays out of landfills. Before, MRFs helped sort the recyclables from trash, but too much contamination made it very difficult to recover usable materials. Because of this, these facilities no longer are operating in California, and we're forced to switch to a 3-bin system to stay compliant. As such, city staff has been working closely with Athens to adjust our waste services to meet these new state requirements. And this brings us to Amendment 2 today, which we're going to go over in more detail later in this presentation. We're going to start with residential rates. Since last November, city staff in Athens have worked to develop Amendment 2, which updates the contract diversion requirements to help us meet state law. It also expands services for SB 1383 compliance, and it also helps adjust rate calculations for better transparency. To ensure fairness, we brought in R3 Consulting Group, experts in solid waste contracts. Their review found that Athens is operating at a loss due to rising costs. Currently, the residential rate is $25.76 per month. Athens proposes to freeze rates until July 2026, after which they will implement an extraordinary rate adjustment of $1 per month, or $1 to the monthly rate each year for 3 years. Staff conducted a survey comparing our surrounding cities. That's on that table you see on the screen. And even after these adjustments, our rates will remain lowest in the region. With regards to commercial rates, a key change for businesses is that Athens will assist the city in implementing and enforcing our SB 1383 ordinance. Their role will include educating businesses on compliance requirements and processing waiver applications, reviewing the eligibility, and making recommendations to the city. It should be noted that the city will still handle approving or denying waivers, issuing violation notices, and assessing penalties when necessary. Right now, the monthly commercial rate for a 3-yard garbage bin, a 1-yard recycling bin, and an organics cart emptied once per week is $370.31. Even with the proposed amendments, commercial rates will remain competitive while ensuring high-quality waste management services at costs that compare favorably to our surrounding cities. With regards to additional benefits and changes, beyond compliance, we negotiated service improvements, which include new collection vehicles. It's a full fleet replacement within 18 months. Stronger compliance measures. This includes conducting waste studies and reporting. More community services. So that means extra shredding events, free cart cleaning. Simplified rate adjustments. So we'll move to based on trash CPI plus 1% instead of the current complex formula. And an SB 1383 guarantee. Athens will cover penalties for any noncompliance. And these updates will enhance services while still keeping rates competitive. In summary, city staff, along with the R3 Consulting Group, carefully reviewed Athens' proposal. R3's analysis confirms that the proposed amendment is fair and reasonable, ensuring compliance with SB 1383 while also enhancing waste services. The amendment also includes extending the contract term by 15 years to June 2042, with options for 10-year extensions thereafter. To maintain compliance, high-quality waste management, and the lowest residential rates in the region, staff recommends approving Amendment 2 to the agreement with Athens Services. We appreciate your time and consideration and are happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Alvin, for the report. Council has any question for staff? Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, Alvin, for the report. Robert, can you please explain why the city did not consider going to bid for trash hauling services?
Yes, thank you. For that, I'll go ahead and divert to Mr. Papa, who can go over some of the details, and also defer to our city attorney for any additional information.
Yes, thank you, Robert. So with regards, thank you for the question, council member. So currently, the rates that are offered by Athens, we're currently the lowest in the region. And additionally, we're very satisfied with the services that are provided by Athens. And as such, SB, with regards to bidding out, it's not, to my understanding, it's not required. And so it was the best interest of the city to secure these currently low rates, the high quality of service. But with that, I will defer to Pam with regards to the requirements or the legalities.
Thank you, Mr. Papa. In response to your question, it is correct. Under the city charter as well as the Cerritos Municipal Code, the provision of trash services is exempt under the requirement to go out to bidding, and it is considered a professional service under the city's code. In addition to that, this agreement was entered into back in 2017, and if we were to go out to bid, it would be well before the actual term expiration date of 10 years. And it's not atypical of contracts of this type with exclusive franchise agreements for waste haulers to have solid waste agreements that extend 15 to 25 years. That's very typical, and that's due to the fact that there's a lot of capital investment that's made into a contract with the city to understand the truck routes, to understand the actual infrastructure and capital requirements that are invested into a specific contract. Being able to stretch out the investments and the return on that over a longer period of time does yield lower rates overall versus a shorter time frame where, trash hauler would expect to get the return on investments at a faster rate than over a period of time. And so it's very typical. We've seen this with a lot of our other clients in other cities that have franchises that last 15 to 25 years, and that is very typical. And as part of that, the city charter does envision franchises that go up to a term of 25 years, and that's why that was selected.
Thank you. And one other question, if we had gone out to bid, what would have been the consequence then as far as rates for the residents?
I don't have the data, but I imagine they would be higher than what we're experiencing now. I think Athens has a relationship. They understand our city. They've been providing great service. And I assume the reason they've given us such a low rate is that they've had a great working relationship with the city and its residents. I think they'd like to stay here, and so they gave us rates that were competitive. There are, looking at the rate surveys that were done, there are certainly other companies that charge much more for the same type of service, and I don't know if they're getting the same quality of service.
Thank you.
Okay, anyone else? I know, Pam, you said that charter allows us to have a professional service without bid. But wouldn't it be a good policy to have a bid?
That depends on the type of service that you're looking for. It is generally speaking good to have a process where you do go out to bidding. But obviously with any professional service, you do not always go with the lowest bid. That's certainly a requirement for public works and other types of contracts. Obviously, the city charter does supersede any state law, but in terms of professional services, going out to bid does allow you, generally speaking, to get a good understanding of what the rates are and what services are provided, and it allows you to compare the different types of services that are being provided. And a lot of times, the factors that are included may not necessarily be the lowest rate. It can be, customer service, how responsive they are, how much care is taken to abide by a lot of the rules that the municipal code requires. In a case like this, as Mr. Papa had previously explained, this is an existing contract. When we did the survey of all the surrounding cities, we were the lowest with respect to the residential rates. The highest was 34. We're at $25 per month. Roughly speaking, the rates are being held for the rest of the year. They won't go up until 2026. And I believe that with respect to what the rates are, the formula that's currently being adopted or proposed to be adopted is a standard formula going to trash CPI plus one. And so no matter where you're going, that seems to be the standard rate. But when you come in, a lot of times with the new franchisee, they will include a lower bid at the beginning, but they will escalate their rates much more later on. And so year one may be relatively cheap or cheaper than other competitors. But what we've seen is year 3, year 4, year 5, you get more of an escalator that catches them up to what the going rate is or higher than average.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question. Thank you. That survey you did for the surrounding areas in regards to trash rates, are those all Athens clients or are they different trash haulers?
No, sir, they are different. Thank you for the question. They're different trash haulers. Those cities that you see up there those are the same cities that were surveyed back in 2022 when we did Amendment 1.
So every other city other than Cerritos is served by a different trash hauler, or are there some Athens clients in there?
Some are Athens, some are CR&R, some are EDCO, Republic Services. So it varies. I think there were 5. I think there's a total of 5, maybe 6. So Waste Resources, Valley Vista Services.
And then the chart that you had shows the proposed rate increase, right?
Yes.
All right. So what's the current right now? I mean, I should know because I pay for it, but I just automatically pay, so I don't keep track. But what is it?
Yes. So for residential service rates, it is $25.76, and the
Right now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'm sorry. That's why I was confused because it said proposed.
If I may clarify, they are proposing to keep the rate frozen for a year,
gotcha.
so it'll be the
Gotcha.
same for a good long
All right,
time.
that makes that clarifies because it says proposed, so I'm assuming that there was a different rate. Unless that's why I was asking. All right, so that's proposed to stay at that rate for the next year.
For the next year, yes, that is correct.
And with that $1 escalator for every year following.
Yes,
or 3
sir.
years, right? Okay.
And one thing to note is that many of the haulers, for starting July 1st, many of them will likely be increasing their rates as well this July 1st.
Okay.
If you could keep that slide up, I believe Downey, Paramount are Athens clients.
I think Norwalk is too.
And Norwalk. Is that correct? Okay, thank you. Just wanted to point that out.
Yes, that is correct, council member.
Done? Okay. Anyone else? Seeing none, we'll open up the public comments. If anybody would like to speak on this item, I don't know if I have any speakers. Oh, I do. So we have Norma Williamson.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council members and city staff. My name is Norma Williamson, and I'm a resident of Cerritos for the last 20 years. And I'm here tonight for 2 reasons. First, and bear with me, I just have 3 little sentences as a little preamble. I am going to echo some of the comments of Mr. Pappas. But first, I'd like to thank the city for sponsoring the 31st Annual Monte Carlo Gala fundraiser put on by Seroptimus International of Artesia Cerritos this past Saturday. As the current event chair, I and our members really appreciate the city's support. It was a fun event with approximately 200 guests, and all proceeds go to our signature programs that empower women and girls through education. So when I reviewed the city agenda for tonight's meeting, and I saw the name of Athens Services, one of Monte Carlo's loyal silver sponsors, I just had to attend tonight and publicly express our appreciation for their services to our city. Not only have they generously sponsored Seroptimus Gala fundraisers, but also have supported the Janice Hahn Earth Day event at Don Canabe Regional Park, the Women's Equality Day, Children's Speech and Art Contest, and many more community events. And as a resident, I am very pleased with their Blue Barrel recycling bins and waste collection services. For those who know me and my husband well, We retrofitted our 1969 Cerritos track home into a zero carbon footprint, fossil fuel-free home due to our concerns for the climate crisis. So I want to say thank you to Athens for their excellent job in recycling, especially the organics waste collection, which diverts kitchen and garden scraps from ending up in landfills and creating methane gas, a chief contributor of the extreme weather events like the droughts and wildfires which sparked the January Pacific Palisades and Altadena fires. I look forward to many years of service from this family-owned business which walks the talk of environmental stewardship. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Next speaker is Manjula Ramanathan.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and the council members. Yes, I'm Manjula Ramanathan, and I'm a resident of Cerritos. And I'm here to, thank you very much, Mr. Papa, with all the statistics and so forth. It made more sense to me now. I'm so happy with the services. First of all, the customer service. Now, I have 3 incidences. Like, firstly, I had to call them because I forgot to put the bin out on time. And then I called customer service, and they said, oh, no problem, we'll pick it up. And they picked it up at the second round. That's one of it. And secondly, my bin was kind of, was damaged. And I called them. And again, they said, no problem, we'll replace it. So, yeah. And then the third one was I had a lot of bulky items because I had moved from a bigger property to a smaller property, and I had lots of stuff. And again, I called them, and they did come and take them away from me. So overall, I'm really, really happy with customer service. And yes, that's what I'm come here to say. So thank you so much. Thanks.
Thank you. Next we have is Richard Collerstein.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council. I'm also here to speak on behalf of Athens Services. In looking at some of those figures that were on the screen, I was reminded of when I used to live in West Hills in the valley of the city of LA and receiving a bill every 2 months for water, power, and sanitation that would literally make my jaw drop with excess fees and very, very high amounts. So what we pay now and what we would pay under the proposal will be nowhere near that. So I would urge the council to do that. I too have great experiences with Athens Services. When CalMet was the provider, it was still good to get bulk item pickup, but you had to call them because their website interface wasn't good. With Athens, the website is excellent. So if the need comes at any time of the night, you can put it in and they take it out very well, and they don't give you any hard time. Every time I've called, they've been great. I also want to talk about why they're into the fact that they're so supportive of the community. My kids have been involved with Valley Christian Schools. My son was a recent graduate in 23, and my daughter is a graduate, will be a graduate of 27. They put on a show every year called Broadway Showcase. It's a 2-night musical extravaganza at the La Mirada Performing Arts Theater. In fact, it will debut a week from tonight.
Why not in Cerritos?
Well, I've asked that question too, but if the council wants to give a discount on the Performing Arts Center, I'm sure the school would be happy to do so. I asked the same question, Mr. Mayor. But they put out a program with the names of all of the students that participate. And Athens Services was approached last year to advertise for the first time. They advertised without exception, and they advertised this year. And they have been very helpful, and they've been very supportive of Broadway Showcase and of Valley Christian Schools. So I urge the council to support Athens Services. And if the council would like, I can show the program, if I can approach.
Thank you.
You gave it to us, we keep it.
Yeah, that's fine. and the ad that Athens placed is marked with a yellow sticker. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Now is, I guess, representative from Randon Lane from Athens.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, City Council. As a former elected official, as I sit through this evening listening to the items you are hearing, there are parts of my job as an elected official I no longer miss having to make those types of difficult decisions in your community, but thank you for the work that you do. My name is Randon Lane. I serve as Vice President of Government Affairs for Athens Services, and with me tonight I have a team of people that represents Athens. I have two of our Executive Vice Presidents, John Beerley and Gary Clifford. I also have Dave Brumley, who is the Division Vice President for our Paramount Yard, which handles Cerritos. And then I also have Bill Kalpakoff, BK, we refer to him as, and Allison Millette, who are in Government Affairs and who do all of this community outreach in the city of Cerritos. First, I want to say thank you to your staff for working with us as we reviewed this amendment in order to bring the city into compliance with state law. We worked diligently. The city did a great job representing the city, having the chance to work with R3 Consulting, again, who's very well known in the industry, and having them review it. We feel like we have brought forward a very fair proposal that allows us to continue servicing this great community, as well as providing additional services and allowing the rates to maintain low rates here in the city of Cerritos. And then finally, I will be here this evening if you have any questions or if I can answer anything for you, please let me know. And again, thank you very much for the opportunity to speak.
Brandon, I have one question.
Sure.
You know, in some city, they have, I know that you have a program where the bulk item be picked up. There's certain city has that roll-up bins and 40 yard.
Mhm.
And they put in, different tracks or neighborhood, because some residents may not be aware of it, how to get rid of that, large bulky item. Is there something we can look at into it? See, maybe 4 or 5 places a year you can put that roll up so they can all dump it and you guys pick it up?
We actually do bulky item events here in the city, and we provide that to the city. We do flyers. We also reach out to the residents via mail, email notification that allows residents to actually come in and do exactly what you're talking about within the city. And so we work with city staff to schedule those days, to find time throughout the year. The city has allowed bulky items, and so we allow that, and we actually have a very, very successful events. But yeah, I mean, we're happy to continue working with the city on those.
Okay, great. Thank you.
I have a question, Mayor. Brendan, I know the answer, but I want you to ask so you can say it so the public can hear it too. Would you consider yourself a major national trash hauler, or are you kind of like a mom and pop type of trash hauler, comparing yourself to other trash haulers out there?
Well, I'll answer it this way. We are a very proud family-owned business, 5th generation, that operates within our communities with huge success, because we still consider, as I said, we are a family-owned, and we consider cities part of our families. And so that's why we like to work as closely as we can with the cities.
Thank you. And I asked you that question because the fact that behind you brought out, or they came, you got vice presidents, you got executive, you got marketing. It just shows that the attention that you give to all your cities is so valuable, because just that alone, because I know that like I mentioned before, I sit on the JPIA board, and we changed service for a liability service, because what happened when they got so big that the president and vice president stopped answering our phone calls. And so we moved on, and we went to another smaller agency, small comparative. And, that's the service that I expect here at the city. And you've time again, and tonight just lets me know, and you've done this last time, is that, I mean, you don't have to bring them all out here. But the fact that you're letting us know that you're providing the attention that this city needs, just from you alone would be good. But you brought the vice president, you brought your team here tonight. And so it just sends a message to me that the attention is necessary, but also appreciated. So thank you.
If I can add one thing on to that, I will be very clear that the only reason that I tell you their titles is because that happens to be what their titles are. But anyone in this community, and I don't have to turn back and look at them, anybody in this community could walk up to anybody sitting behind me, myself. You'll get our cell numbers, you'll get our emails, and we respond because while we have titles, we are a company that cares deeply about the communities we serve.
You know, Rendon, you and I have talked over the years periodically, but the one thing that I was reminded of earlier is the long-term relationship we've had with, the predecessor companies that were brought into Athens. But I remember when it's a long time ago, when we went out to bid, we went out and no one knew we did it, but our staff went out and videotaped all the different firms that had bids in. The services, they followed trucks around. And what we saw over and over again is trucks that would have trash fall out of the trucks, stay on the street. They didn't stop and pick it up. Your predecessor firms did. They made it very clean. So, in addition to when I hear the stories about how you support the various things within the community, that's always been valuable to this city. Not just by you, but other, companies and agencies. So we have that part, but we have this history of the service part. And that's the part that our city attorney talked about, a service contract. Your firm has honored that consistently. And it's why I've been supportive, of not just your firm, but the ones before you. And that's one that if you're going to take back any message, it's that service side that we take a lot of pride in, our residents do. And the fact that we don't have to call, and I have never had a phone call from a resident saying that our trash hauler is not doing a good job. And to me, it's, we get complaints about a lot of different things, but this is not one of them. This is a very valuable relationship that we have. And it's one that I'm very proud to endorse, and recommend that this goes forward. But thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Landon. Right now, I don't think we have any other speakers. I don't think we have any more questions. So, Mel, sorry. Thank you. We got one more speaker. Thank you,
If
Landon.
there are any other questions, I'll be here to answer.
Thank you. Mel?
Thank you very much. Yep, the trash service is very nice. What I don't find that city should be doing is giving a 15-year contract. 15 years, that's if the elections are every 2 years, you will tie the hands down of at least 8 new groups of city council members that will come up for the next 15, 16 years. Why not 5 after 2027? I wasn't happy with a 10-year contract before, not 15. I will say no to a 15-year contract without bids. Is for the residents. One thing that I saw, offered to clean 1 car per year. Why not all 3? So I'm gonna have to decide, okay, green, the black one, the blue one. So are they gonna charge if we want the other ones cleaned? Is that what it means to 1 car per year? Or what kind of car? I thought it was residential. Because I have a kid that does it in the neighborhood for $10 each. So yes, I had the phone number, people need it. And the modification to the annual rate, I see that's going to increase to increase the formula will give us higher rates. Of course, not 25 to 26. But after that, we're going to start paying more and more and more and more for the next 15 years without stopping it, because the council members, the 2 sitting here will continue, and the new people are coming, they won't be able to do anything to help us if the rates keep going higher. I like how the rates are low right now. And let's keep it that way because crime is already high. So let's keep at least one thing low. What about the street sweeper? because I know that comes with a package, right? That's the one thing that I had experienced this week. They do need new trucks. One got stuck in front of my house for 15 minutes, and I couldn't leave because it gets hot, and the driver said that they had to wait until it cools down. So they do need new trucks. And the street sweeper, that's the one that I think most people complain about. And I keep calling, and neighbors keep calling, especially this week. I have pictures and videos. They stay usually about 8 to 10 inches from the curb. And I could go week after week after week after week. How the street sweeper is the one that's probably the biggest issue. And if we're going to keep this for 15 years, I want to have to keep going outside and sweep like I've been doing for the past several months. So I haven't heard anything about the street sweeper, so is that going to continue? Are they going to get also new street sweepers or better trained drivers? Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else like to speak on this item? Seeing none, you want to comment on what Mel just said?
Yes, thank you very much for the comments. I will tell you, I will direct you to our Division Vice President, Dave Brumley, and if you have concerns or questions like that, I know that he would want to know to make sure that we get those addressed as quickly as possible, first and foremost. Secondly, the trash cleaning. The one cart is one type of cart. So if you want your trash cleaned, your recycling clean, and your organics clean, we'll do that for you. It's not picking one of the three that you want to have cleaned. What's already in the contract that is not changing, the original contract, if there is damage to any of your carts, we're going to come out and replace that at no cost. This is an addition that just says, hey, if it gets dirty, it gets smelly, whatever the case may be, you let us know and we'll come out and take care of that. So it's not picking one, you can do all three. The low rates, I would like to address this because one of the things, and we did a little bit expanded in regards to what the city had done, of the 10 cities that you looked at, 4 of those were Athens cities. We did actually a 10 city comparison, and of the 10 city, again, both Athens and non-Athens, you were the lowest out of those 10 cities. And the rates that were up there is the proposed rates. All of those other rates that are being shown by the other cities will absolutely increase July 1st. Your rates are not going to increase July 1st. Your rates are going to stay the same through July 1st of 2026. What you're seeing, the rate comparison is a current rate, not the rate that is going to actually increase in those cities on the 1st. And we are working, and I will say Robert has been incredibly adamant about the fact that his top priority was keeping the rates low for the residents. And so we have worked very diligently to do this, freezing the rates, and then moving you to a more stable CPI increase. Historically, the trash CPI has been more consistent throughout the years. And so we're trying, in fact, most cities are moving over to a trash CPI. And so that was our recommendation to the city. You have seen in the past some of your CPIs kind of go up and down. This one will keep you more level throughout the years. And even so, we've looked at the long term. You look out 4 or 5 years, your rates still remain low relative to the other cities. And so you will maintain your low rates, and that is something that we have worked for. The street sweeping will stay the same. However, part of this agreement is that we're going to come in and we're going to replace all of your vehicles as part of this deal, so that you're going to get new vehicles, your street sweeping, new street sweeping, and then we will make sure that we talk with Mel to make sure that we get a number for him, so that, I mean, we have our customer service number, but he's brought it to our attention. And as I said, Dave Brumley, I know, wants to be aware of it because the street sweeping rolls up to him and he wants to make sure that's taken care of.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. If anyone else? In none, I do have, do we have written comments, Madam Clerk?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Prior to the meeting, the City Council received full text and redacted copies of the one written comment submitted for item 9D by the deadline listed on the agenda for inclusion in the official record. Requests for copies of the written comments submitted for this item can be made to the Office of the City Clerk during regular business hours. Thank you.
Okay, so now I will close the public comments period and bring it back for comments. And I know Mr. Wu has a comments.
Thank you, Mayor. So, before I was on council, I never realized how controversial trash haulers were. And then since I've been on council, every time trash contracts come up, it's a topic of discussion in the community. So, the mayor brought up about why don't we go out to bid? And I know that's been a question in the past. And in some circumstances, like the city attorney said, going out to bid is good. Sometimes it's bad. There's a saying in government sometimes when things don't go well, we say lowest bid. And going out to bid and getting the lowest bid and having to pay for the lowest bid isn't always necessarily the best thing because you get what you pay for. But in this case, we're not required to even go for the lowest bid if we were to go to bid, and the bid can be higher. And so some of the things that comes to mind when we talk about this contract, why are we locking it down for 15 years? Why are we doing it so early? The things that come to mind is when you see a good deal, you see a good price, you kind of want to grab onto it because down the line, as you can see, inflation, the way it's going, things are happening. We don't know if it's going to be worse or better, but at this time, it's a great price. So we want to grab onto it. And that's how I look at it, is just the fact that we're the lowest in the region. And I'm worried the other cities might see what we're getting and they're going to ask the same from Athens, the other four. So how come you guys aren't giving us a low deal, right? And the reality is because, I don't know for sure, but I think our city does have a high standard for our residents to make sure that we get the best price, the best service. And it's been mentioned a couple times, and I'll tell you, I have not had one bad experience with Athens and then Calumet before. And I've had residents comment to me how great their service is when it comes to when they make a phone call, they are given the attention that they need. And when they don't, a follow-up phone call is always apologetic from Athens for somehow forgetting or whatever the reason is. And they follow up and they get it done. Some concerns is that when you get this this contract, and then years later, they'll increase it and so forth. We've had Athens for a few years now. We've had Calumet before that, and there's still people from Calumet that are working for Athens. They've shown year after year under the contract that they don't do that. They don't go and try to escalate their rates to a point where we're middle of the road or even top. Time and time again, we've always been the bottom. So they've shown that commitment to work with this city and our residents to make sure we get the lowest price, that one they can afford, but also one that's reasonable for our residents. So we have to note that. We have to understand that just because we go to bid, it doesn't mean that we're going to get the best price. What's going to happen at times is that they all go to bid and they're going to bring prices that they know is competitive. What we have is this relationship prior to that Athens is saying, okay, we're going to give you this for both reasons. It's going to be best for us and best for the city. We'll know that we have business with you, and in turn, we're going to make sure you get the best rates. And why 15 years? Why 10? It's like an example of a mortgage, right? If you go 30 years versus 15 years, monthly, you're going to pay more. So as you expand it out in the years to come, Athens has the formula where they understand that their cost of doing business can be spread out further and bring that cost savings to also the residents. So I would say we have a 5-year, 10-year, our monthly, if that goes out to bid, will probably be higher because now they need to know that their return is meeting their demand for their business and their costs. So I understand why that concern is there, thinking that we can make a change earlier, just in case they don't give us a great service. But Athens has proven almost every year that they give that service, even during a contract. When they're in contract, they can say, you know what, I don't have to respond to you. I got a contract, but they do. And the service has constantly been really good. So I think that concern, again, the mayor brought up is a good concern, that why don't we go to bid? For some things, I agree. But this one, I feel that they've proven themselves over and over again to be a friend of this city and a friend of the residents. And I'm worried that we might lose that friendship just because we want to go out to bid, just to say that we want to see what the prices are. Well, the price is already low. I mean, why do we even want to test to see what the prices are when the price is already low? It's shown that we're the lowest. Like if we were at mid-range or high, I can totally understand why we would want to go out to bid to see if we can get a lower rate. We're already at the lowest. So I don't understand that concept of going out bid when we already have the best price compared to other cities. So I hope that explains the reasoning why I think this is a great contract and a great relationship we have. And let's see here. I think that's all I have. So, and I will agree with Bruce that, this is something that I'm a resident. I have to pay these rates too. I want the best rates. And knowing what I know as a council member, I know this is the best rate for our residents, regardless of what the topic is out there. I know this is the best rate. And the biggest thing I want to add is they don't have to do this, but a few community members came in here, and I don't think they encouraged them to come in. They didn't even know they were here. They did it on their own, and it's very true that Athens gives back to not just this community, but other cities that they service too, because I hear from other council members who have Athens, and they've said it over and over again, that they're not just a trash hauler, they're a community member. And they serve our community in so many ways that even our residents don't even know. You may see it in a brochure here and there, but you got to be a member of that, or you may see a banner hanging somewhere. But they've made it very clear they want to be a member of their community, and he said it, and it's so important to us that we keep that relationship. Just because we think that we need to go to bid, sometimes that's not always necessary. In this case, I don't think it's necessary, and I think we need to maintain the relationship and continue with the service for the benefit of our residents for the next 15 years.
Okay, anyone else? Linda?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you to Athens for coming out. I know it's late in the evening. As a resident, I appreciate the low rates. Can't say the same for Spectrum because that every month goes up all the time. So really, Athens has really maintained a rate for us that's been steady over the years. I'm confident that the city has done their due diligence. They've engaged with R3 consulting firm to ensure that we have a fair contract, so I appreciate that. I've never heard from a resident that they were unhappy with the services provided by Athens. And for the very few that had a minor issue, Athens actually came out the same day and rectified it. So I appreciate that. I've worked with cities in the Gateway region, and I've talked to residents where their city has contracted with another hauler other than Athens, and all I've heard is that they are unhappy and dissatisfied with their service. But on the contrary, I've heard residents from Cerritos that are very pleased with the rates and with the service that they receive. So thank you to our city manager and our staff for looking out for our residents by engaging with R3 Consulting. And thank you to Athens for the great service that they provide and for making sure our city's in compliance with state mandates. And a big thank you for the support that you always constantly give to our various community events, such as the Fishing Derby, the Diwali event, our annual toy giveaway. I know at all these events, BK, Allison, Randon, you guys are out there. You're just not supporting financially, but you actually attend these events. So that's how much I appreciate that you guys have really became a great partner of the city. And I want to say hi to Gary out there. So thank you so much for taking care of our city and of our residents.
Okay, Frank?
Thank you, Alvin Papa, Director of Public Works, for that comprehensive, detailed agenda report, explaining clearly and transparently what this amendment number 2, the benefits that amendment number 2 will bring to the city of Cerritos and to our residents. I make a motion to approve staff recommendation.
Second?
Okay, we have motion and second. All right, congratulations, guys. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Okay, next item is the item 10, city manager. Do you have any legislative items?
No, sir, we don't have any items under item 10, 10A or 10B.
Okay, 10, all right. How about the 11A? Any reports?
Thank you. No items to report this evening, sir.
Okay, next item is the 11B. I'll start with Linda Johnson.
I have nothing to report.
Okay, Frank.
Thank you. On January 24, I attended the League of California Cities GTLR Policy Committee meetings. The GTLR Policy Committee meeting, I'm honored to be the immediate past chair, and I attended the meeting with Linda and with our city clerk, Cindy Nava. On January 26, I attended the community swearing-in ceremony for newly elected Assembly member Jessica Caloza. On February 4, I attended the Cerritos City Council Candidates Forum. I saw Councilmember Linda Johnson over there, and that was the most candidates I've ever seen at one of our Cerritos City Council Candidates Forum. So good job, democracy. On February 6, I attended my monthly Southern California Association of Government meetings in downtown Los Angeles. I am the regional council member for Cerritos and Artesia and Hawaiian Gardens and Norwalk. You know, I'm proud to represent our district, and Linda is there representing Cerritos on the Community Economic and Human Development Committee. February 18, I attended the Day of Remembrance event at Cerritos High School with ABC School Board President Ernie Nishi and ABC School Board Clerk Tatiana Yokoyama Bui. The Day of Remembrance it's a blessing that our ABC school district every year has Day of Remembrance events at the middle schools and high schools to teach our kids about Executive Order 9066, which led to the incarceration of Japanese Americans during World War II. And every year at these events, survivors of those concentration camps speak to the students at our ABC high schools and our ABC middle schools. February 21, I attended the AAPI Leadership Summit held by the Asian American Pacific Islander Legislative Caucus of the state of California in Burbank. On February 22, I attended the swearing-in ceremony for newly elected Congressman Derek Tran at Cal State Fullerton. Later that evening, I attended Whitman Elementary School's production of Seussical Jr., and I also attended Sir Optimus International of Artesia Cerritos Monte Carlo night. I saw Linda Johnson over there, and I saw Robert Lopez over there, our city manager. February 26, with my council colleagues, we had the wonderful, awesome tribute to public safety dedication event here at the Civic Center. It's been a long time coming. Thank you to my council colleagues for making it happen. Thank you to Chelsea for all of her hard work and having a well-attended, successful event. And before tonight's city council meeting, I attended the Emperor's birthday reception at the official residence of the Consul General of Japan. It's always a wonderful event that I get to attend on behalf of the city of Cerritos. Thank you.
Bruce?
Nothing to report.
Thank you. Mr. Wow.
All right, Mayor, I'll try to make this quick since you're trying to rush me here. I attended an event, a ribbon cutting at the Korean barbecue chicken with the mayor, and that was a great event. I also attended the public safety dedication yesterday, and I'll speak on that mostly. As it was very well done. It was like Councilmember Yokoyama says, long time coming. I know when we brought it forward, it felt like it was probably a century ago, but we were able to see it happen, and I want to thank Kathy. I know, Kathy, you put a lot of time and effort back and forth to get it done. Sometimes I sat in your office a few times heckling you, finding what's going on, where it's at, what's happening with it, and so I appreciate your patience and your tolerance of me. So thank you for all that hard work that you did. It's such a nice piece. I saw the rendering, but I never realized how nice it would be in person, and so it was nice. The only thing that it's not a complaint, but only thing about that whole time yesterday was that we kept on taking pictures, and we centered ourselves with the firefighter, and we need to take pictures with the deputies as well. So, but yeah, and the fire department was there. It's a friendly back and forth between police and fire, and we were doing that there. I was right in there with them, with the firefighters going back and forth. I even made the chief stand next to me in front of the deputy to take a picture. So I thought that was funny, and he was all for it. But I just want to say how much I appreciate it. I know I'll be stepping down soon, and just be able to be part of that initial vote to get it back on council, and then to be present for it to actually be unveiled for the public to see. And just knowing that's there, and years down the line for me personally, I can always say that had something to do with that. So I really appreciate staff for doing that, and I think it's added a lot to the front of the sheriff's station. And with that, I want to say thank you to the staff for that. So that's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you, and I agree with everything was said. So anyway, with that, we have a closed session tonight.
Yes, thank you, Mayor and members of the City Council. We are going to meet in closed session under Government Code Section 54957 relating to a employee performance evaluation of the city manager.
Great. All right, so we adjourn the regular meeting and going into the closed session. Good night.